My name is Victoria Chen. I'm 34 years old, and I used to believe family meant sacrifice even when it meant paying for a $4.2 million penthouse I'd never own. But last December, everything changed. The email came at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. "You're not welcome at Christmas," we all agreed. While I stared at those words, I didn't know that the penthouse keys in my drawer would become the most powerful weapon I'd ever hold. Because the people who said I was too Americanized to join their table, they had no idea I was the only name on every utility account, every insurance policy, every building document that kept their luxury life running. By Christmas Eve, when they stood outside locked doors with 40 guests waiting, they'd finally understand what not welcome truly meant. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me show you how silence became proof, and proof became power. The notification lit up my laptop screen at 11:07 p.m. I'd been debugging code for 3 hours, eyes burning from the blue light coffee gone cold in the mug beside me. My Soma apartment was dark, except for the glow of my monitor and the city lights filtering through the uncurtained windows. December in San Francisco meant the chill crept through old building walls, but I barely noticed anymore. Work was easier than thinking. The email preview made my hand freeze on the trackpad. Chen Family Planning, Christmas Arrangements, Final. I clicked it open. The sender was Chen Family Events, a group email address my mother had created years ago for coordinating holidays. Formal, official, as if family gatherings required corporate infrastructure. The message was brief: "Dear Victoria, after careful consideration, we've decided it's best for family harmony if you celebrate separately this year. We know you're busy with work, and we don't want to add to your stress during the holiday season. We wish you a peaceful Christmas. With love, Margaret, Robert, and Brandon Chen." 3 signatures. My mother, my father, my brother. Lined up like a legal document. No explanation, no apology. Just a clean surgical exclusion. I read it again. Then a third time. My brain kept catching on the same phrase: "We've decided." Not "we're wondering if" or "would you prefer." Decided. Past tense. Done. The attachment loaded a revised guest list. I scrolled through 27 names. Cousins, aunts, uncles, family, friends. My name appeared nowhere. The room felt suddenly smaller. I pushed back from the desk, walked to the window. Across the street, a family was carrying a Christmas tree up their front steps, the father laughing as pine needles scattered across the pavement. Their warmth looked like something from a different dimension. I pulled my phone from my pocket, opened WeChat. The Chen family group chat, usually active with my mother's planning messages and my brother's sarcastic comments, showed my last message from 3 days ago. Sounds good, responding to something about dinner timing. Below it, nothing. The message history ended abruptly. I scrolled up. Days of conversation visible, then suddenly, "You are no longer a participant in this conversation." My chest tightened. I opened my Google Calendar. The shared Chen Family Events calendar where my mother meticulously tracked birthdays, dinners, gatherings. I clicked on December 24th. Chen Christmas Gala, 6:00 p.m., Russian Hill Towers, Unit 2804. The event showed 43 people invited. I opened the guest list. My name wasn't there. But the event was visible to me. I still had access to view, just not to attend. I sat back down the chair, cold through my thin sweater. Opened my email again, searching for clues I'd missed. Found a thread from Thanksgiving just 2 weeks ago. My mother's mass email, wonderful to see everyone looking forward to making Christmas even more special. I'd been there, at the Penthouse. I'd brought homemade pumpkin cheesecake, spent 4 hours baking it. When I'd arrived, my mother barely looked up. "Oh, you came," she'd said, as if my attendance was surprising. The table had been full. Every chair taken. I'd eaten standing at the kitchen counter, paper plate balanced on my palm, while my relatives toasted each other in the dining room 30 feet away. Brandon had given a speech about family values and traditional success. Every barb seemingly directed at me, the daughter who'd chosen software engineering over something more respectable like medicine or law. I'd left early. No one noticed. Now, sitting in my dark apartment, I realized that dinner had been a test. And I'd failed by simply existing. My laptop showed 1:34 p.m. I opened a new browser tab, typed the URL for the Russian Hill Towers resident portal. I'd set up the account 6 years ago. When my parents moved into the penthouse, I'd needed access to manage the bills, handle the HOA communications deal with building maintenance. I logged in. My credentials worked. The dashboard loaded Unit 2804. Under upcoming building events, I saw it: Chen family hosts annual Christmas open house, December 24th, 6 to 11 p.m. Join your neighbors, the Chens, for an evening of celebration and community RSVP encouraged. Public. Posted to the entire building's community board. They were inviting strangers. Neighbors they'd smile at in the elevator but whose names they probably didn't know. 43 confirmed guests, according to the building's RSVP system. And me, not even a courtesy invitation to decline. I closed the laptop, walked to the kitchen, poured the cold coffee down the sink and watched it spiral into darkness. Behind me, my phone buzzed. A text from Grace, my youngest cousin. She was 23 in grad school at Berkeley, the only family member close to my age who'd ever treated me like a person instead of a function. Tori, you okay? Just heard about Christmas. I'm so sorry. My hands shook as I typed back. How did you hear? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Family group chat. They announced it like it was decided weeks ago. I thought you knew. I just found out. Email at 11. Fuck. That's cruel. Yeah. Do you want to talk? I looked at the time. Nearly midnight. Grace had early classes. Tomorrow, maybe. Thanks for checking on me. Love you, cousin. Love you too. I set the phone down and realized I was crying. Not sobbing, just tears sliding down my face, silent and steady. I wiped them away with my sleeve and walked to my bedroom. The apartment was a studio, 550 square feet, rent-controlled, mine for 8 years. Small but enough. The only space I'd ever lived that was truly mine. No roommates, no family obligations attached to the lease, just me. I pulled out the filing drawer under my bed. Found the folder labeled Penthouse Financial, thick with papers, 6 years of documentation. I carried it back to the kitchen table, turned on the overhead light, spread everything out. Bank statements, credit card bills, building invoices, all marked with highlighting notes in my neat handwriting. Every payment I'd made, tracked meticulously. HOA fees $3,200 per month. My checking account auto-pay setup January 2019. Property insurance $1,850 per month. My credit card. Utilities, electric, gas, water averaging $680 per month. My accounts. Internet and cable $420 per month. My name. Property tax escrow $2,450 per month. My bank account. Building special assessments $850 per month for the ongoing lobby renovation. My credit card. I pulled up my laptop's calculator app. $9,450 per month. Times 72 months. $680 400. 6 years. Over $500,000. Flowing from my accounts to maintain a property I didn't own. A property where I apparently wasn't welcome. I opened the file marked Building Documents, Original. Found the co-op board application from 2019. My parents had wanted to move to San Francisco, be closer to their kids. The penthouse was their dream, but they couldn't qualify for the co-op board approval on their retirement income alone. My father had called me. Just help us get approved. Co-sign the documents. We'll pay you back once we're settled. My mother had added, this is family home. Someday it's yours and Brandon's. I'd been 28, earning good money, eager to prove I was a good daughter despite choosing a career path they barely understood. I'd provided my W-2 seconds, my tax returns, my bank statements. Proof of income, proof of savings, proof of financial responsibility. The co-op board had approved based on my credentials. The deed showed Margaret Chen and Robert Chen joint tenants. Below in smaller type, financial guarantor Victoria Chen. I had no ownership, just responsibility. They had the property. I had the bills. And now 6 years later, I had an email telling me I wasn't welcome. My phone buzzed again. My mother texting at 12:03 a.m. I hope you understand. This is what's best for everyone. I stared at the message. Typed and deleted 5 different responses. Finally sent, understand what you didn't explain anything. The dots appeared immediately. We can discuss after the holidays. This isn't the time. You're excluding me from Christmas. And saying, this isn't the time to discuss it. The dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then, nothing. She'd stopped typing. I set the phone face down on the table, looked at the spreadsheet still open on my laptop. 6 years of data. Every payment, every bill, every financial decision that had kept their luxury lifestyle running. I opened a new Excel file, titled it Penthouse Accounts Telefsellax, started copying data, transaction by transaction, building a record. Not sure why yet, just knowing I needed everything documented, organized, visible. My finance degree from Berkeley coming back when facing a problem, start with the data. Quantify everything. Emotion is noise. Numbers are truth. At 2:47 a.m. I finished. The spreadsheet was color-coded. Red for mortgage-related expenses, blue for utilities, green for building fees, yellow for insurance and taxes. 72 rows, 72 months of financial support. Not one month missed, not one payment late. I created a summary tab. Total contributions by category. Average monthly spending. A chart showing the flow of money over time, a steady red line of my bank account draining into the penthouse. At the top, I added a text box: property ownership, Margaret Chen and Robert Chen. Financial responsibility, Victoria Chen. Recognition received, none. I saved the file, backed it up to 3 different cloud services. This wasn't just data anymore. This was evidence. Of what I wasn't sure yet. But something was forming in my mind, a shape I couldn't quite see, but could feel like a word on the tip of your tongue. I pulled up the building portal again, clicked through the sections: unit management, service requests, access control, stopped on that last one. Access control. The section detailed how residents could manage entry to their units, key codes, elevator access, garage permissions, all controlled through the building's integrated security system. I clicked into the details, read the policies. Unit owners could request changes, but so could financial guarantors, people who'd provided the financial backing for board approval. People whose income kept the unit in good standing with the HOA. A notice at the bottom: access changes require 48-hour advance notice to building management. Submit requests through the resident portal or contact the building manager directly. I looked at the date, December 16th. Christmas was December 24th, 8 days away. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. This was crazy. I wasn't seriously considering, but I was. I absolutely was. Because sitting in my small apartment at 3 in the morning, looking at evidence of 6 years of being used while being erased, something had shifted. Some breaking point reached. They wanted me separate from the family, fine. They could be separate from my financial support. I closed the laptop, walked to my nightstand, opened the small drawer where I kept important items, found the penthouse keys on a simple key ring, main door, elevator access, garage remote. I'd had them made the first year, when my parents asked me to check on the place while they traveled. I'd watered their plants, collected their mail, made sure everything was perfect for their return. The keys felt heavy in my palm now, not from their weight, but from their meaning. Access, control, the physical symbols of entry to a space I'd funded but never owned. I set them on the nightstand, stared at them in the dim light from the street. Tomorrow I'd think clearly. Tomorrow I'd make rational decisions. Tomorrow I'd figure out the right thing to do. But tonight at 3:15 a.m. on December 16th, I knew one thing with absolute certainty: I was done being invisible. I was done funding a life I wasn't allowed to participate in. I was done being the ATM daughter who was loved for deposits but not presents. I turned off the light, lay in bed, stared at the ceiling. The keys glinted in the darkness, and in my mind a plan was already forming. The alarm didn't matter because I never slept. I lay in bed watching the ceiling fade from black to gray as dawn crept through the blinds. At 6:45 a.m. I gave up and sat at my kitchen table with coffee, the laptop already open before the machine finished brewing. I created a new folder on my desktop: Penthouse Legal, Documentation. Inside 3 subfolders: Financial, Proof Building, Authority Communication, Records. The coffee maker beeped. I poured a cup black and started working. Financial proof first. I opened my bank's website, navigated to statements, and began downloading PDFs. January 2019 through December 2024. 72 months. Each file renamed 201901 Bank Statement VChen PDF. Methodical. Searchable. Organized the way I'd learned in my first programming job. Good file naming saves hours later. Credit card statements next. Same process. Every charge for property insurance, building assessments, occasional repair bills. I created a spreadsheet index logging each document with date, amount, category, and a brief description. My fingers moved automatically across the keyboard. This was familiar territory: data organization, pattern recognition, building systems. I debugged codebases with millions of lines. A family's financial dysfunction was just another problem to document and solve. At 8:15 a.m. my phone buzzed. Grace calling. "You're up early," I answered. Couldn't sleep. Keep thinking about that email. Her voice was tight. "Tori, I'm so angry for you." "I'm past angry. I'm in documentation phase." "What does that mean?" I looked at my screen. "It means I'm building a case." Silence. "Then, a case for what I don't know yet. But I'm done going into conversations." Blind. Grace exhaled. "Can I help?" "Actually, yes. Do you remember that conversation you heard at the Penthouse a few weeks ago?" Another pause. "The one where they were planning Christmas." "That's the one. Tori, I recorded it." My coffee mug stopped halfway to my mouth. What I was in the bathroom. They thought I'd left. I heard them talking about you, and my phone was in my hand, and I started recording." Her voice dropped. "I wasn't sure if I should tell you. It felt like a violation. But also what they were saying." "Grace, send it to me. Are you sure it's not good?" "Send it." "Okay, give me a minute." The call ended. I stared at my phone. 30 seconds later, a notification: Grace shared a file via encrypted message. Recording Chen, 121,023. M4A. I downloaded it. Opened my audio player. Pressed play. The first few seconds were muffled, rustling fabric, water running. Then voices became clear. My mother's voice, that particular tone she used when organizing things. "So we're agreed. Victoria is not on the Christmas list." Brandon's response came quick. "It's for the best. She always makes things awkward anyway." I paused the recording. Took a breath. Pressed play. "My father, too American." Doesn't understand family obligation. My mother, she thinks because she has tech job she's better than us. But she doesn't understand respect. Brandon again. The guests were inviting their important connections, business people. Victoria just doesn't fit the image. A new voice, Aunt Linda Grace's mother. But she pays for everything here. Doesn't that my mother cut her off? That's exactly the problem. She acts like this is her place. It's our home. We just let her help with expenses. My father almost laughing. She makes good money. She should support her parents. That's Chinese culture. But she doesn't get to make demands. Brandon, look, keep it simple. Don't mention the bills, don't mention the money. Just say we want intimate family gathering. She doesn't fit the vibe. My mother, she's too, what's the word? Transactional. Everything is about money with her. My father's laugh clearer now. The irony right. We need her money but not her presence. Brandon lowering his voice, Dad, seriously keep that quiet. We don't want her cutting us off. My mother, she won't. She's too dutiful. That's how we raised her. The recording cut off. A door opening, Grace's voice saying something about finding her purse. I sat completely still. The apartment was silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic outside. I replayed the recording. Listened to my father laugh about needing my money but not my presence. Listened to my mother call me transactional while literally calculating how to keep my financial support without my physical attendance. Listened to Brandon strategize about hiding the financial dependency from guests. She's too dutiful. That's how we raised her. My hand found the edge of the table and gripped it. The wood solid under my palm. The only solid thing in a moment where everything else felt like it was dissolving. I didn't cry. I'd cried last night. This morning I felt something colder, clearer. I saved the audio file in the communication records folder, created a transcript document, typed out every word verbatim with timestamps, backed it up to 3 different cloud services. Then I opened a new document and wrote audio evidence, family conversation, the 10th of December 2024. Present, Margaret Chen, Mother Robert Chen, Father Brandon Chen, Brother Linda Liu, Aunt. Topic: exclusion from Christmas gathering and financial exploitation discussion. My phone buzzed. Grace, did you listen? Yes? I'm so sorry. Don't be. This is exactly what I needed. Needed proof. That I'm not imagining it. That it's real. What are you going to do? I looked at my screen. At the folders filling with evidence. At the building portal still open in another tab. I don't know yet, but I'm going to be prepared. We hung up. I stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city waking up. Wednesday morning, December 17th. 7 days until Christmas Eve. At 9:30 a.m., I called in sick to work. Sent a message to my team, not feeling well. Working from home but maybe slow to respond. They'd manage without me for a day. I needed this time. I pulled up Google and started researching financial guarantor rights. San Francisco Co-op Board Access Control. Can guarantor change locks? The answers were complex. California law was specific about tenant rights but vague about guarantor authority. Co-op boards had their own bylaws that superseded some standard rental laws. I found the Russian Hill Towers bylaws in my files. I'd saved them 6 years ago when reviewing the board package. Section 7.3.4. Unit security modifications may be initiated by any resident or authorized financial party with management approval. Authorized financial party, that was me. The person whose income had qualified the unit, whose bank accounts paid the monthly fees. I kept reading. Security modifications included lock changes, access code updates, garage permission adjustments. All could be requested through the building management office. Management approval was key. The building manager was David Park. I'd exchanged dozens of emails with him over the years about maintenance issues, about payment confirmations, about building policies. He knew me. He knew I was the one who actually handled everything for Unit 2804. I opened my email and started drafting Dear David. I hope this email finds you well. I'm writing to request a comprehensive security update for Unit 2804, where I serve as the financial guarantor and primary contact. As you know, I've been responsible for all financial obligations related to this unit for the past 6 years. Given recent security concerns, I'd like to request the following modifications. Complete lock replacement for the main entry door. Elevator access code change. Garage key fob deactivation and reissuance, per Section 7.3.4. Of the building bylaws, I understand, these modifications can be initiated by the authorized financial party. I have attached documentation confirming my financial responsibility for the unit, including recent payment records and the original board application materials. I'd appreciate if these changes could be completed by December 23rd. Please let me know what additional information you need and the process for scheduling this work. Thank you for your assistance. Best regards, Victoria Chen. I read it 3 times. Professional, calm, backed by policy and precedent. I attached 3 PDFs: recent bank statements showing HOA payments, the building's receipt confirmations, and the page from the original co-op application showing my financial guarantor status. My cursor hovered over send. This was the point of no return. Once I requested this, there would be a paper trail. David would likely notify the unit owners, my parents. They'd know I was taking action, but they'd already taken action. They'd excluded me, discussed me behind my back, strategized about keeping my money while discarding my presence. I clicked send. 9:47 a.m. The email whooshed away. I closed my laptop and stood. Walked to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, looked at myself in the mirror. Dark circles under my eyes, hair pulled back in a messy bun. I looked tired, worn down. You're not imagining this, I said to my reflection. It's real. You have proof. My phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. Miss Chen, this is David Park from Russian Hill Towers. My heart rate spiked. Hi, David. Thank you for calling so quickly. I got your email. I wanted to discuss it before proceeding. His voice was careful, professional. This is an unusual request. Can you help me understand the security concerns you mentioned? I'd prepared for this. The unit owners and I are having a family disagreement. I want to ensure I maintain appropriate access controls given my financial obligations to the property. Silence. Then I see. Miss Chen, I need to be direct. Unit owners can override security changes. If your parents object, David, can I ask you a question? In your records, who's listed as the primary contact for Unit 2804 amperes? Pause. You are. Who responds to all building communications you do? Who's authorized on the bank accounts that pay the monthly fees? You are. So, while Margaret and Robert Chen hold the deed, I'm the one who maintains the financial responsibility that keeps this unit in good standing with the board. Another pause. That's correct. Section 7.3.4 allows authorized financial parties to request security modifications. I'm not removing the owners from access. I'm requesting updated security measures for a unit I financially support. Is there any policy that prevents this? I could hear him typing. No, not technically. But Miss Chen, this puts me in a difficult position. Your parents will likely call me when they discover they can call, but the bylaws don't require their approval for security updates requested by the financial guarantor, correct? More typing. A long exhale. You're right, the language is clear. An authorized financial party can request these modifications. Then I'd like to proceed with the request. I can be on site to oversee the work if that helps. That would be appropriate. Let me check with our contractor. Keyboard sounds. We could schedule for December 23rd starting at 8 a.m. The lock replacement and elevator code change can be completed by early afternoon. Garage fobs take longer, probably by 3 p.m. for full deactivation and reissuance. That works perfectly. Miss Chen, I need to ask, are you certain about this? I looked at my laptop at the folders full of evidence. Thought of the recording. We need her money but not her presence. I'm certain. All right. I'll send a confirmation email with the contractor details and timing. And Miss Chen, per protocol, I'm required to notify the deed holders of any security changes. I'll send that notification after the work is completed, not before. Thank you, David. Good luck. The call ended. I sat down, legs suddenly shaky. It was happening. I'd set it in motion. At 10:15 a.m., David's confirmation email arrived. Professional, detailed, with a work order attached. Secure Home Solutions would arrive at 8 a.m. on December 23rd to replace locks on Unit 2804, change elevator access codes, and update garage permissions. Estimated completion 2 p.m. Cost $1,850 to be billed to the unit's account. My account. I saved the email, added it to my documentation folder. My phone buzzed. A text from Brandon Hay. Mom said she emailed you about Christmas. You good? I stared at the message. The casual tone. You good, as if this was a minor schedule conflict. I typed, received the message. Busy with work. Talk later. Sent. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Brandon, cool. Let me know if you need anything. I didn't respond. At noon, I forced myself to eat. Made a sandwich I didn't taste. My mind was running calculations. December 23rd was a Monday. The work would be complete by afternoon. My parents would discover the changes when they tried to access the penthouse. Probably that evening. Christmas Eve was Tuesday the 24th. Their party started at 6 p.m. They'd have less than 24 hours to figure out what happened and respond. Not enough time to get lawyers involved. Not enough time to override the changes through building management. Not enough time to do anything except face the consequences of treating me like a convenient ATM. My phone rang again. This time I recognized the number. Marcus Okonkwo, the attorney who lived in Unit 2704, 2 floors below the penthouse. We'd met at building events, had coffee a few times. He specialized in real estate law. Victoria, hi. Do you have a few minutes? Sure. What's up? David Park just called me. He wanted a legal opinion on a situation. A pause. I think that situation might involve you. My stomach dropped. What did he ask? Whether a financial guarantor has the authority to request security modifications without deed holder approval. I told him yes, per the building bylaws. But Victoria, he seemed concerned. This might lead to conflict. Is everything okay? I made a decision. Marcus, can I buy you coffee? Today I need to talk to someone who understands the legal side of this. How about lunch? I'm working from home. There's a cafe on Clement Street Eats. Say 1 p.m. I'll be there. At 1, 2, 4, 5 p.m. I changed out of my pajamas for the first time all day. Put on jeans and a sweater. Pulled my hair into a neater bun. Looked almost put together. The cafe was small, warm, crowded with the lunch rush. Marcus was already there, sitting at a corner table with his laptop. Early 40s, always sharply dressed even when working from home. Today, dark jeans, a gray Henley glasses that made him look more approachable than intimidating. He stood when I arrived. You look like you haven't slept. I haven't. Coffee. Already ordered for both of us. Sit. Saturday a waitress brought 2 espressos and menus. We ordered sandwiches. Once she left, Marcus leaned forward. Talk to me. What's going on? I pulled out my phone. Opened the documentation folder I'd synced to mobile. I'm going to show you something. But I need to know first, is this a legal consultation? If you want it to be yes, attorney-client privilege applies, then yes, I want legal advice, go ahead. I showed him the email from my parents, the exclusion from Christmas. Then the spreadsheet, 6 years of payments totaling $680, 400. Then the original co-op documents showing I was the financial guarantor but not an owner. Marcus's jaw tightened as he read. He didn't say anything until I'd shown him everything. Victoria, this is financial exploitation. I know. You know you could sue them. Elder financial abuse laws work both ways. When parents exploit adult children, I don't want to sue. I want to stop funding a situation where I'm being used. He nodded slowly. The lock change request. That's what this is about. Yes, it's legal. David was right to call me, but you're absolutely within your rights. You're the financial guarantor. The building recognizes you as the primary contact. The bylaws support your authority to request security modifications. But your parents will fight this. They'll call lawyers, threaten litigation, try to claim adverse possession or constructive eviction or a dozen other theories. And they won't win. You're not evicting them. You're not taking their property. You're exercising your authority as the party financially responsible for maintaining the unit. He leaned back. But Victoria, this will escalate. Are you prepared for that? I thought about the recording. My mother's voice. She's too dutiful. I'm prepared. Marcus studied me for a long moment. Okay, then, let me give you advice. Document everything. Every communication, every payment, every interaction. Keep it organized. If this does go legal, and I don't think it will, but if it does, you want an airtight paper trail. Already doing that. Good. Second, don't discuss this with them until the work is complete. Let actions speak first. Once the locks are changed, they'll contact you. Let them talk first. Don't defend. Don't justify. Just state facts. What facts? That you're the financial guarantor. That you've paid for everything for 6 years. That you're exercising your authority under building bylaws. That you're no longer willing to fund a property you're being excluded from. I nodded. And if they threaten to sue, let them. They won't. Any lawyer will tell them they don't have standing. You're not doing anything illegal. You're setting financial boundaries. Our food arrived. We ate in silence for a few minutes. Then Marcus said, "Can I ask what prompted this?" The timing, I pulled out my phone, handed him my earbuds. "Listen to this. It's 4 minutes." He listened. His expression darkened as the recording played. When it finished, he pulled out the earbuds and handed them back. Jesus Christ, Victoria. That's my family. Planning my exclusion while discussing how to keep my financial support. This recording, you didn't make it. My cousin did. She was there, they didn't know. She sent it to me this morning. It's gold. Not for legal purposes. California's a 2-party consent state, so it's not admissible. But for your own clarity, for understanding what you're dealing with, this is proof you're not imagining things. That's exactly what I needed it for. He pushed his plate aside. Victoria, I can't officially represent you. Conflict of interest. I live in the building. I know your parents casually. But unofficially, I support what you're doing. This is one of the healthiest boundary-setting moves I've seen. You think it's healthy to lock my parents out of their home. It's not their home. It's a property with their names on the deed that you've been funding, and you're not locking them out permanently. You're controlling access to something you're financially responsible for. That's not cruel. That's rational. I felt something release in my chest. Validation from someone who understood the legal and practical implications. Thank you. Don't thank me. You're doing the hard work. He pulled out his wallet, put cash on the table. But Victoria, be prepared for the fallout. This is going to get ugly before it gets better. I know. We walked out together. On the sidewalk, Marcus stopped. One more thing. Do you have somewhere else to stay for a few days after the 23rd, just in case they show up at your apartment? I hadn't thought of that. No. Think about it, have a plan. Your parents know where you live. After he left, I walked back to my apartment. The city was gray, cold, typical December weather. I passed families shopping, carrying bags with wrapped presents visible through store windows. Normal people doing normal holiday things. I climbed the stairs to my apartment, unlocked my door, locked it again behind me, sat at my kitchen table, opened my laptop. The documentation folders stared back at me. I created one more document plan, timeline, XLSX. Listed the dates, December 17 today. Research and documentation complete. December 23, lock changes executed. December 24, parents discover changes, party impacted. December 25, consequences. Unfold. December 26 plus, boundary negotiations begin, under risks. I wrote parents call police low risk, legal standing weak, parents threaten lawsuit low risk, no case parents show up at my apartment medium risk, need plan family complete estrangement high risk, acceptable under, desired outcome. I hesitated. What did I want? I wrote recognition, acknowledgement of contribution, respect for boundaries, possible reconciliation if they do the work to change, not punishment, not revenge, just visibility. Being seen as a person, not a function. I saved the document, backed it up. My phone buzzed. Grace, how are you doing? I'm okay. Making plans. What kind of plans? The kind I'll tell you about after. But Grace, thank you for that recording. It changed everything. I love you, cousin. Love you too. I set the phone down, looked around my small apartment, mine, paid for by me. No one could take this from me. 6 more days until everything changed. I was ready. Thursday morning arrived with fog so thick I couldn't see the building across the street. I stood at my window with coffee, watching the gray swallow everything, and thought about visibility. How easy it was to disappear into someone else's narrative when you stayed quiet. My phone showed 7:15 a.m. I'd slept 4 hours, dreamless and heavy. Better than the night before. I opened my laptop and sent the email I'd drafted at 3 a.m. David confirming Monday, December 23rd, at 8 a.m. for security modifications to Unit 2804. I'll be on site to oversee the work. Please send final contractor details when available. Best, Victoria. His reply came within minutes, confirmed. Secure Home Solutions will meet you in the lobby at 8 a.m. I'll be there as well to facilitate building access. Let me know if you need anything else. Professional. No judgment. I appreciated that. I showered, dressed for actual work. Video calls scheduled today. My team needed me functional even if my personal life was imploding. Compartmentalization, another skill from growing up in a family where you learned to separate what you felt from what you showed. At 9:30 a.m. between meetings, my phone rang. My mother. I stared at her name on the screen, let it ring 4 times before answering. Hi, Mom, Victoria. Her voice had that particular brightness that meant she wanted something. I'm calling about Christmas dinner. We're finalizing the menu and I wanted to make sure we don't serve anything you're allergic to. I paused. I'm not coming to Christmas dinner. What? Of course you are. Mom, you sent me an email 3 days ago saying I wasn't welcome. Silence. Then, that was about the party, the big event. But Christmas dinner is different. That's family only. The email said I should celebrate separately. You're being too literal. We just meant the large gathering might not be your scene. But dinner, that's different. I closed my eyes. This was the game. Rewrite what was said, shift the meaning, make me doubt what I'd clearly read. The email had 3 signatures, you, Dad, and Brandon. It said, "We've decided. Victoria, you're making this into something it's not. What is it then? A miscommunication. You're so sensitive about everything. There it was, the pivot. Now I was the problem for having feelings about being excluded. I need to go. I have a meeting. Wait, we should talk about this properly. Can you come by this weekend? I'm busy. Too busy for family. The irony was suffocating. Goodbye, Mom. I hung up, sat staring at my desk. My hands were shaking. A text arrived immediately. That was rude. We raised you better than to hang up on your mother. I turned off my phone. The afternoon disappeared into work. Code reviews, architecture, discussions, a project deadline pushing us all. I was grateful for the distraction, for problems that had clear solutions where logic mattered and gaslighting wasn't possible. At 4:00 p.m., I turned my phone back on. 17 missed calls. 12 from my mother, 3 from my father, 2 from Brandon. No voicemails, just the calls. The harassment by volume approach. One text from my father, your mother is very upset. Call her back and apologize. Nothing about why she was upset, nothing acknowledging what she'd done. Just the demand that I fix her feelings. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my documentation folder and created a new file, communication pattern analysis. XLXX. I logged every communication from my family since Thanksgiving. The dates, the method, email, text, call, the content, the pattern. November 27. Thanksgiving dinner. No seat at table. 8 standing. November 28. December 12. 0 contact initiated by parents. December 13. Mother's text asking me to pick up dry cleaning. I declined. December 14. Brandon's text asking to borrow $200. I declined. December 15. Father's call about helping them set up new TV. I was busy. December 16. Exclusion email sent at 1:07 p.m. December 17. My inquiry about the email. Mother's dismissive response. December 18. Today. Mother's call, rewriting the narrative. The pattern was clear. They contacted me when they needed something. Money, labor, convenience. I'd started saying no. 3 days later, I was excluded from Christmas. Not a coincidence, a consequence. I saved the file, added it to the evidence folder. At 6:00 p.m., my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. Aunt Linda stood in the hallway holding a paper bag. I opened the door. Aunt Linda. Hi. Can I come in? I stepped aside. She entered, set the bag on my kitchen counter. I brought dumplings. From that place on Irving you like. Thank you. She sat at my small table without being invited. Family prerogative. Grace told me she sent you the recording. She did. I'm sorry you had to hear that. I'm not. I needed to hear it. Linda looked at me carefully. She was my mother's younger sister, softer in every way. 54, with gray streaking her black hair, reading glasses hanging from a chain around her neck. A high school teacher. Patient by profession and temperament. Your mother called me today. She's confused about why you're pulling away. She sent me an email excluding me from Christmas. How is that confusing? I told her the same thing. She insists it was a miscommunication. It wasn't. Linda nodded. I know. I was there when they drafted it. Victoria, they meant every word. I sat down across from her. Then why is she rewriting it now? Because you're not responding the way she expected. You were supposed to apologize, beg to be included, prove your worth. Instead, you're quiet. That scares her. Good. Linda reached across the table, took my hand. I want you to know what I said in that recording, trying to point out that you pay for everything. I've said it before. Many times. They don't want to hear it. Why not? Because acknowledging your contribution means acknowledging their dependence. Your mother especially can't tolerate that. She spent her whole life building an image of success. Admitting she needs your money destroys that image. So she'd rather destroy me. She doesn't see it that way. In her mind, you're supposed to support them. That's filial piety. But you're also not supposed to make them feel lesser for needing it. You're supposed to give invisibly. That's impossible, I know. But that's the logic. I pulled my hand back. Grace said you wanted to talk to me. What about Linda? Hesitated. Your mother told me yesterday she's planning something. After Christmas. She said she needs to remind Victoria of family duty. What does that mean? I don't know exactly. But it sounded like she's going to try to pressure you back into line. Use the family probably. Turn people against you if you don't comply. Let her try. Victoria, I'm serious. She can be vindictive when she feels disrespected. And your father, he'll go along with whatever she wants. He always has. I have a question. Why are you telling me this? You're her sister. Linda walked to the window, looked out at the fog. Because I've watched her do this before. To your father, to Brandon, to herself. She can't let people be separate from her. Everyone has to play their role in her script. She turned back to me. And I'm tired of watching it. Grace is tired of it. We want out of the script too. Then get out. We're trying. But it's harder when you're in the older generation. There are expectations. She came back to the table. But you're young enough to build something different. Don't let her pull you back in. After she left, I ate the dumplings cold standing at the counter. They were good. I should have heated them, but I couldn't muster the energy. My phone rang again. Brandon this time, I answered. Tori, what the hell, hello to you too. Mom is freaking out. She says you hung up on her. I did. Why would you do that? Because she was rewriting history and I wasn't interested in participating. Jesus, Tori. She's trying to include you in Christmas dinner and you're being difficult. Brandon, did you read the email you signed? The one that said I wasn't welcome. That was about the party. The big event. The email didn't specify. It said I should celebrate separately. You're being pedantic. I'm being accurate. He sighed, that particular sound he made when he thought I was being unreasonable. Look, I'm trying to smooth things over here. Can you just call Mom back and clear this up? No? Why not? Because I don't want to. That's not a reason. It's the only reason I need. Silence. Then, you know what, fine. Be stubborn. But don't come crying when you're alone on Christmas. I won't. He hung up. I set the phone down and realized my jaw was clenched so tight it ached. I rolled my shoulders, stretched my neck. The tension lived in my body like a permanent resident. Saturday arrived cold and clear. I drove to Russian Hill, parked a block from the building. I needed to see it. Not go in, just see it. The building rose 30 stories, glass and steel, prestigious. Russian Hill address meant old money, tech money success. My parents had wanted this so badly. The penthouse, the view, the proof they'd made it in America. I'd made it possible. Me. My income, my credit, my financial standing. And now I was sitting in my car a block away because I wasn't welcome inside. My phone rang. Grace, where are you, Russian Hill? Looking at the building. Why, I don't know. Masochism want company. I can be there in 20 minutes. Yes. She arrived in 18, sliding into my passenger seat with coffee from Phil's. Thought you might need this. Thank you. We sat drinking coffee, looking at the building. They're setting up today, Grace said. For the party. Mom and I are supposed to help later. Are you going? I have to. Mom insists. Family obligation. She made a face. But I'll be thinking about you the whole time. Don't. Just get through it. Tori, I need to tell you something. She turned to face me. They're planning to confront you after Christmas. Mom heard your parents talking. They're going to show up at your apartment. Demand you come back into line. My hands tightened on the coffee cup. Let them. You should change your locks. Here too. I blinked. Here, your apartment. Your mom has a spare key to your place. She got it made 2 years ago. For emergencies. The coffee turned to acid in my stomach. She's been in my apartment a few times when you were at work. She never said why, but she has access. I sat very still, my mother, in my space, without permission, violating the one place that was supposed to be mine. When can I get a locksmith? I looked it up. There's a 24-hour service. Quick Key Solutions. They can come today if you want. I pulled out my phone and called. 30 minutes later, a technician was at my building. I met him there, watched him replace my locks, install a new deadbolt, add a security chain. Cost $380. Worth every penny. He handed me 3 new keys. No one's getting in here unless you let them. After he left, I tested the locks 5 times. Solid, secure, mine. Sunday was dedicated to logistics. I researched locksmith companies for the Penthouse job. Called 3, got quotes. Bay Area Premier. Locks $2 $800 comprehensive luxury service. Fast Key SF $890 quick and efficient secure home solutions. $1 $850 professional discretion for complex situations. I chose Secure Home. The middle option. Professional without being flashy. I called, explained the situation vaguely. Family property need comprehensive lock change and access code updates, and booked them for Monday at 8 a.m. We'll need someone on site with authority to approve the work, the scheduler said. I'll be there. I'm the financial guarantor on the property. Perfect. We'll meet you in the lobby. I paid the deposit. $850 charged to my credit card. The same card that paid the property insurance. I spent the afternoon organizing my documentation folder. Everything was backed up in 3 places now. My laptop, external hard drive, and 2 different cloud services. If my computer died, if my apartment burned down, the evidence would survive. I created a master document statement of fax PDF, 4 pages, single-spaced, chronological. Financial history of Unit 2804, Russian Hill Towers, Victoria Chen, financial guarantor, December 2024. Background. In January 2019, Margaret and Robert Chen sought to purchase a cooperative unit at Russian Hill Towers. They could not qualify for co-op board approval based on their retirement income. Their daughter Victoria Chen, provided financial documentation, including W-2 seconds tax returns and bank statements to serve as financial guarantor. My income and creditworthiness enabled the board to approve the Chen's application. Financial contributions. From January 2019 through November 2024, I have paid all financial obligations related to Unit 2804 HOA fees, $230. 400 total $3, 200 times 72 months. Property. Insurance Viennas. Shimtas 303 shimtai total. Viennas ashtuoni shimtai penkias deshimt exceptinias deshimt dumons utilities. Keturias deshimt ashtuoni devini shimtai sheshias deshimt total average. Sheshi shimtai ashtuonias deshimt exceptinias deshimt dumons internet. Cable tris deshimt du shimtai keturias deshimt. Property tax. Escrow $176 400 total. $2 450 times 72 months. Building assessments $61 200 total. $850 times 72 months. Total contributions $680. 400 property ownership. Margaret and Robert Chen hold 100% ownership. Victoria Chen holds 0% ownership. Recognition of contributions. 0 acknowledgement from property owners to family or community. Recent events, the 16th of December 2024. Email notification that I am excluded from family Christmas gathering scheduled for the 24th of December 2024 at Unit 2804. The 10th of December 2024. Recording captured a family discussion transcript, attached in which parents and brother discuss excluding me from gathering while strategizing to maintain my financial support. Relevant quotes from transcript: Margaret Chen. We just let her help with expenses. Robert Chen. We need her money but not her presence. Margaret Chen. She won't cut us off. She's too dutiful. That's how we raised her. Current status. I am exercising my authority as financial guarantor to modify security access to Unit 2804 per building bylaws. Section 7.3.4. This action is in response to being excluded from a property I have financially supported for 6 years, while property owners have provided zero financial contribution. This is not retaliation. This is boundary setting. I read it 3 times, edited for clarity, saved the final version. This wasn't a story anymore. This was a legal record. Monday morning, I woke at 6:30 a.m., showered, dressed in my Navy suit professional armor. I wanted to look like someone with authority, someone who belonged there. I packed a bag, laptop, water bottle, phone charger, the documentation folder on a USB drive. I might be there all day. At 7:45 a.m., I drove to Russian Hill. Parked in visitor parking. I didn't have a garage fob, never had. Those were for owners. I walked to the building entrance. David Park was already there holding a coffee cup and looking nervous. Miss Chen, good morning. Morning, David. The contractors should be here any minute. He paused. I want you to know I checked with our legal counsel. You're absolutely within your rights to do this, but your parents will be upset. I know. They might call the police. Let them. I have documentation showing my authority. He nodded slowly. All right then. A white van pulled up. Secure Home Solutions printed on the side. 2 men got out, one older with a clipboard, one younger carrying a toolbox. Miss Chen, the older one, approached. I'm Carlos, this is James. We're here for the comprehensive lock service. That's right, Unit 2804. Carlos reviewed his work order. Main door lock, replacement elevator, access code change, garage fob deactivation and reissuance. Estimated 5 hours of work. Let's get started. We took the elevator up. The hallway on the 28th floor was quiet, plush carpet, absorbing sound. I walked to the end to the door, marked 2804. David used his building master key to unlock it. After you. I stepped inside a space I'd paid for but never lived in. The penthouse was dark, my parents already gone for the day. Probably at Brandon's finalizing party details. The space was exactly as I remembered. Floor-to-ceiling windows, city view stretching to the bay, designer furniture, everything coordinated in whites and grays. Sterile, perfect, expensive. Evidence of tomorrow's party everywhere, rental tables folded in the living room, boxes of champagne flutes in the kitchen, catering order, confirmations on the counter. This place is incredible, James said, looking around. I didn't respond. To me, it was just a very expensive cage I'd been funding. Carlos set down his toolbox. Let's start with the main door. Miss Chen, what type of locks do you want? Standard deadbolts or something more secure? High security. Best you've got. That'll be the Medeco maximum security. Take special keys, can't be bumped or picked easily. Perfect. The drill whined to life. Carlos removed the old locks, extracting them like teeth. I watched each piece come out, each screw dropped into his tool tray. Physical removal of their access. Concrete. Real. James worked on the elevator keypad, resetting the code. What code do you want? I thought for a moment. 0817. Got it. August 17th, the day I'd moved to San Francisco. The day my independent life had begun. They wouldn't guess it. By noon, the main door locks were replaced. Carlos handed me 3 sets of keys, shiny and new. These are yours. No copies exist anywhere else. I closed my palm around them, metal cold heavy with meaning. Now the garage fobs, Carlos said. That took longer. They had to access the building's security system, deactivate the old codes, program new fobs. David helped with the digital access. Current fobs registered to this unit, David read from his screen. 2. Both registered to Margaret Chen and Robert Chen. Deactivating now. I watched him click buttons. On his monitor, the fob codes changed from green to red. Inactive. New fobs ready. He handed me 2 small plastic cards. These are it. The old ones won't work anymore. Thank you. By 1:45 p.m., everything was complete. Carlos made me test each lock, each code, each fob. Everything worked perfectly. You're all set, Miss Chen. That'll be $1,850. I handed him my credit card, the same card that had paid 72 months of property insurance. After they left, I stood alone in the penthouse with David. Are you okay? He asked. I'm fine. What happens now? Now I wait for them to discover what I've done. That'll be tonight when they come home. I know. Miss Chen, Victoria, I've been a building manager for 12 years. I've seen family disputes over property. They get ugly. This one already is ugly. I'm just making it visible. He nodded. All right. I'll be available if you need anything. And Victoria, for what it's worth, I think what you're doing takes guts. After he left, I stood at the window looking out at the city. From up here, San Francisco looked small, manageable. All those lives happening in tiny boxes, everyone thinking their problems were enormous, when really we were all just specks. I took photos of everything. The new locks installed. The old locks in Carlos's tool bag ready to be thrown away. The keypad showing the new elevator code. Evidence. Documentation. Proof. At 2:30 p.m., I left the penthouse and locked it behind me with the new keys. The deadbolt slid home with a solid click. I went to my car, drove home. In my apartment, I tested my own new locks again. Still solid. That evening I made tea and sat at my window. My phone was on the counter, deliberately out of reach. At 5:47 p.m. it started ringing. My father. I let it ring. Then my mother. Then Brandon. Then my father again. At 6:15 p.m. a voicemail notification appeared. I played it. My father's voice confused and tight with panic. Victoria, what is going on? Our keys don't work. We're standing outside our door. We can't get in. Did you do something to the locks? Call me back. Now. Another voicemail. My mother, Victoria, this is not funny. Let us into our home right now. Another. Brandon, Tori, whatever you're doing, stop it. They have a party tomorrow. 40 people. You're destroying everything. I saved all 3 voicemails, added them to my documentation folder. At 6:35 p.m., David Park texted, Your parents called me. I explained the lock change was authorized by you as financial guarantor. They're very upset. Just wanted you to know. I replied, thank you for the update. My phone didn't stop. Call after call, text after text. Father, answer your phone. Mother, this is unacceptable. Brandon, do you realize what you've done? At 7:00 p.m., my mother texted, We're calling the police. I replied, Feel free. I have legal authority for everything I've done. At 7:30 p.m., David texted again. Police were called. They came, reviewed the situation, told your parents, it's a civil matter and they can't help. Your parents left the building. I think they're going to a hotel. Good. Let them know what it felt like to have nowhere to go, to be shut out of a space they'd assumed would always be available. At 8:00 p.m., Grace called. Holy shit, Tori. You heard. The whole family heard. Group chat is exploding. Your parents told everyone you locked them out of their home on Christmas Eve. I modified security on a property I'm financially responsible for. I know, and I'm proud of you. But Tori, they're out for blood now. Let them be. Your mom is calling everyone. Uncle Thomas, Aunt Jean, all the cousins. She's painting you as ungrateful and cruel. Do you believe that? No, but some people will. You need to be prepared for that. I am. We talked for an hour. Grace told me everything, the group chat messages, the family members taking sides, the ones demanding I apologize immediately. Aunt Linda defended you, Grace said. She told them all. There's more to the story. That they don't know what you've been dealing with. She'll get attacked for that. She doesn't care. She said she's tired of watching your mom manipulate everyone. After we hung up, I made dinner. Pasta with jarred sauce. Simple. I ate standing at the counter watching the city lights come on. My phone showed 91 notifications. Texts, calls, voicemails, family group chat messages I could see but not participate in. I turned on Do Not Disturb. The silence was immediate and total. I washed my dish, dried it, put it away. Made chamomile tea, sat at my kitchen table with my laptop, opened my documentation folder. Everything organized, everything backed up, everything ready. Tomorrow was Christmas Eve. Tomorrow their party was supposed to happen. Tomorrow they would understand what they'd taken for granted. I touched the jade pendant. I didn't have one yet, but I touched my neck where one might hang someday. A phantom comfort. Outside, the city continued. Sirens, traffic, life happening everywhere. Inside, I sat in my secured apartment with my new locks and my documented truth. For the first time in 6 years, I'd stopped being convenient. The fear I'd expected didn't come. Instead, I felt something else. Peace. Terrible, costly peace. But peace nonetheless. Christmas Eve morning arrived with pale winter light and the sound of my phone vibrating against the nightstand. I'd slept 4 hours, waking every 90 minutes to check the time. At 6:30 a.m., I gave up and got out of bed. The phone showed 43 new notifications. I scrolled through without opening any. Father, 1147 p.m. We need to talk about this rationally. Mother, 1233 a.m. You've always been difficult, but this is too far. Brandon, 115 a.m. Guests are asking questions. What do I tell them, Cousin Nathan? 2:01 a.m. Heard what happened. That's cold, Tori. I set the phone face down and made coffee. While it brewed, I stood at my window watching the city wake up. Christmas Eve. Across the street, someone was loading wrapped presents into a car. Normal people doing normal holiday things. At 7:30 a.m. my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Miss Chen, this is Patricia Wong from Chen and Associates Law. Your parents have retained me to consult on a property access issue. My stomach tightened, but my voice stayed level. What can I do for you? They've asked me to reach out regarding the lock changes at their residence. They'd like to discuss resolution options with you. What did you tell them about their legal standing? A pause. Miss Chen, I need to be honest with you. I've reviewed the building bylaws and the financial documentation your parents provided. You're listed as the financial guarantor with primary contact status. The modifications you requested fall within your authority. So you're calling to tell me they can't force me to reverse this, correct? I'm calling because they paid me $500 for a consultation. I owe them honest advice. That advice was, they don't have legal standing to override your actions. But I'm also calling you because she hesitated. Off the record, I've seen situations like this. Adult children exploited financially, then discarded emotionally. What you did was protect your interests. That's not illegal. It's necessary. Thank you for saying that. They're going to threaten legal action. It's bluster. Don't let it intimidate you. After she hung up, I saved her number. potential witness to their attempted legal maneuvering. Everything was documentation now. At 9:00 a.m. Grace called. "Where are you home?" "Why, they're at the building, right now. Trying to get David to override the locks. He won't, he can't, I know. But Tori, there are guests starting to arrive. Early people. The building is getting crowded and confused. Send me updates, I will. Be careful today." I spent the morning working actual work, the project that had deadlines regardless of family implosion. My manager had been understanding about me being distracted lately, but the code still needed to be written. At 1:30 a.m. Grace texted a photo, my parents in the building. Lobby, my mother in a dark dress, my father in a suit, both looking strained. David Park standing between them and the elevator's arms crossed. "They've been here an hour," Grace texted. "David won't budge." At 12:00 p.m. my mother called. I let it ring. "Voicemail, Victoria, people are starting to arrive. You need to stop this now. Whatever point you're trying to make, you've made it. Let us into our home." I saved the voicemail. Her home, not our home. Not the home I'd funded. Her home. At 1:00 p.m. Brandon called. I answered. "What? Tori, please. The caterers are trying to deliver. They can't get into the unit. Mom is having a breakdown in the lobby. Tell her to cancel the catering." "We can't cancel day of. We'll still have to pay." "Then you should have thought about that before excluding me. This is insane. You're punishing 40 innocent people because of one email. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm no longer providing access to a property I'm not welcome at. That's the same thing." "No, it's not. Punishment would be active harm. This is passive withdrawal. There's a difference." Jesus Christ, Tori. When did you become so cold? When being warm got me treated like an ATM? I hung up. At 2:00 p.m. the group text explosion started. I'd been removed from the family chat, but people started texting me individually. "Cousin Jenny, what you're doing is cruel and you should be ashamed." "Uncle Thomas, your parents are humiliated. This reflects badly on the whole family." "Aunt Jean, I always knew you were selfish, but this confirms it." "Aunt Linda, separate threads, stay strong. Don't let them manipulate you." I responded to no one except Linda, thank you. At 3:00 p.m. Grace sent another photo. The lobby was crowded now. 20, maybe 25 people in cocktail attire holding wine bottles and gift bags, looking confused. My parents stood near the elevator bank, my mother's face blotchy from crying, my father on his phone. Disaster, Grace texted. "Some people are leaving. Your mom keeps saying there's a family emergency." At 3:45 p.m., David Park texted. "Your parents offered me $500 cash to look the other way and give them building master key access. I declined and documented the attempted bribe. They're claiming you're mentally unstable and holding their property hostage. I explained that's not how the bylaws work. They're not taking it well." "Thank you for standing firm," I replied. "Just doing my job. But Miss Chen, this is one of the messier situations I've handled." At 4:30 p.m. my father called. I answered. "Daughter." His voice was tight, controlled. "We're standing in front of 40 guests. The caterers are threatening to charge us full price and leave the food in the street. Your mother is hysterical. I'm asking you, begging you to stop this. I'm not doing anything. You're the ones who planned a party in a space you can't access. We can't access it because you illegally changed the locks." "Not illegally. Per building bylaws. Section 7.3.4, I have authority as financial guarantor to request security modifications." David confirmed this with building legal counsel. "This is our home that I pay for, that you excluded me from. You can't have it both ways, Dad. So, this is about money, you want us to pay you back. This is about recognition, about not being invisible, about you needing to face what you've taken for granted. We'll pay you, whatever you want. Just let us in. I don't want your money. I want you to understand what you did. Silence. Then I don't understand. We gave you everything. You gave me expectations. I gave you $680, $400. We're not the same. I hung up. My hands were shaking. I made tea I didn't drink. Paced my small apartment. Checked the documentation folder again. Everything's still there, still backed up, still true. At 5 p.m. Grace called. People are leaving. Most of them. Your mom is sitting on the lobby couch crying. Your dad is yelling at the caterers. The food is literally on the sidewalk. Someone took a photo, and it's already on the building's neighborhood app. Are you okay? I'm fine. Watching from the corner. Tori, this is complete chaos. Good. You really mean that? Yes. They needed to feel what exclusion costs, what taking people for granted costs. This is that cost. At 6:00 p.m., the party's official start time, my phone rang again. Mother. I answered on speaker, set the phone on my counter, and continued making dinner. Victoria, please. Her voice was raw. Everyone is gone. The food is ruined. We're going to lose thousands of dollars. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. Is this what you wanted, to destroy us? I didn't destroy you. I withdrew my support. You're destroying yourselves. We're your family. Then why did you exclude me from Christmas? That was a mistake. We see that now. You see it because there are consequences. Not because you actually understand what you did wrong. We understand. We're sorry. Are you sorry you did it, or sorry you got caught? Silence. That's what I thought. Mom, you recorded a conversation where you and Dad laughed about needing my money but not my presence. You strategized about keeping me dutiful and compliant. You erased my contributions while benefiting from them. This isn't one email. This is 6 years of using me. We didn't mean yes, you did. You meant every word. Grace has the recording. I've listened to it 20 times. You meant it. How did you... Grace recorded us. Someone who actually cares about me did what was necessary to show me the truth. That's a violation of trust, like excluding your daughter from Christmas while keeping her bank account. My mother's voice went cold. Fine. You want to play this way. We'll see how you feel when the whole family knows what you've done. They already know. You've been calling everyone? And Mom. Some of them are on my side. No one is on your side. You're alone. I'd rather be alone than invisible in a crowd. I hung up. At 7:00 p.m. my phone hit 88 missed calls. I took a screenshot. Saved it with file name evidence. 88 missed calls, Christmas Eve PNG. The number felt symbolic. 88. In Chinese culture, 8 means prosperity, luck. Double 8, double blessing. They'd called 88 times seeking access to prosperity I'd provided. The irony wasn't lost on me. At 7:30 p.m., Marcus knocked on my door. I checked the peephole, let him in. I brought wine and Chinese takeout. He set bags on my counter. Figured you might need company. How did you know the building's neighborhood app? Someone posted photos of the Christmas Eve disaster at Russian Hill Towers. Your parents' failed party is now local news. He pulled out his phone, showed me. 3 photos, guests milling confused in the lobby, catering trays sitting on the sidewalk, my parents looking disheveled and distressed. Caption: anyone know what happened at the Chen Christmas party? Showed up to locked doors and chaos. Very awkward. Number Russian Hill. Number Christmas fail. 47 comments already. People speculating, some defending my parents. How embarrassing for them. Some asking questions. Why couldn't they get into their own home? One person who'd clearly talked to someone, heard the daughter who pays all their bills finally cut them off. Good for her. This is everywhere, Marcus said. Building Facebook group neighborhood app, probably spreading to their social circles. Public humiliation. Consequence. There's a difference. He opened wine, poured 2 glasses. How are you holding up? I don't know. I'm numb. That's normal. You just detonated your family structure. Numb is a reasonable response. We ate in my living room sitting on the floor because my apartment only had 2 chairs. The food was good. I'd barely eaten all day. They're going to come after you, Hard Marcus said. Not legally, they can't win that. But emotionally, socially, every manipulation tactic they have. I know. Are you prepared for that? I have 6 years of documentation. I have recordings. I have witness statements. I'm as prepared as I can be. I meant emotionally. I set down my wine glass. I don't know if anyone can be prepared for their family turning on them, even when you see it coming. Fair. He refilled my glass. But Victoria, you did the right thing. Not the easy thing, the right thing. At 9:00 p.m. Grace texted, "They're at a hotel. 4 Seasons downtown. Paid $850 for tonight. Your dad complained about the price. My mom is with them. Says your mom won't stop crying." "Are you okay?" I replied. "I'm home. My mom is furious at your parents. She told them this is their fault. They didn't take it well. Tell Linda I'm grateful." At 1:00 p.m. Marcus left. "Call me if you need anything. Lock your door. Get some sleep if you can." After he was gone, I stood at my window. The city sparkled with Christmas lights. Somewhere out there, my parents were in a hotel room, probably still fighting, probably calling more family members, probably planning their next move. I thought about this morning, how I'd woken up anxious, uncertain. Now, 12 hours later, I felt something different. Not happy exactly, but solid, grounded. They'd finally felt what I'd felt for years. Exclusion, invisibility, being unwanted in a space you thought was yours. The difference was I'd endured it while still supporting them. They'd endured it for 1 day and collapsed. My phone buzzed. Father, texting at 1:47 p.m., "You've broken your mother's heart. I hope you're satisfied." I typed back, "You broke mine first," repeatedly. For 6 years. I'm just the first one to show the damage. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared, disappeared. He didn't respond. I turned off all the lights except one small lamp. Sat on my couch in the dim glow. Outside I heard sirens. Traffic, the city's constant hum. Christmas Eve. The day I'd planned for a week. The day everything changed. In my phone, evidence accumulated. Eight missed calls. Dozens of voicemails. Hundreds of texts. Photos of the chaos. David's documentation of the bribe attempt. On my kitchen counter, 3 sets of keys to a penthouse I'd paid for but never owned. In my chest, something that felt like grief and victory mixed together until they were indistinguishable. I thought about tomorrow, Christmas Day. Would they try to show up here? Would they escalate further? Would this ever end? Probably not. Wounds this deep don't heal overnight. Maybe never. But tonight on Christmas Eve, in my small, secured apartment, with my documented truth and my locked doors, I felt something I hadn't felt in 6 years. Free. At 1:55 p.m., I checked my phone one last time. Grace had sent a message, "Merry Christmas, cousin." "Proud of you," I replied, "Merry Christmas. Thank you for everything." At midnight, Christmas Day arrived. I was alone, but I was seen, by myself if no one else, and that was enough. I fell asleep on the couch, still dressed, wine glass empty beside me, phone finally silent. The last notification I saw before my eyes closed. Mother sent at 1:59 p.m. "We'll never forgive you for this." I thought, good. That means you finally understand how I've felt. Then sleep pulled me under, and Christmas Day began in silence. I woke to my phone vibrating across the coffee table, sunlight harsh through the blinds. My neck ached from sleeping twisted on the couch. The clock showed 6:47 a.m. Mother calling. I let it ring. Watched her name pulse on the screen until it went dark. 30 seconds later, voicemail notification. I played it on speaker while making coffee. Her voice hoarse. Victoria, please. Your father can't sleep. He has chest pains. You're giving him a heart attack. Just give us the keys. We'll talk after the holidays. Please. Guilt tactic. Transparent but effective enough that my stomach twisted. I saved the voicemail. Poured coffee. Stared out the window at Christmas morning. A second voicemail arrived while I stood there. Brandon, drunk or exhausted or both. You know what you are, selfish. Mom and Dad gave you everything. This is how you repay them. I'm embarrassed to call you my sister. Background noise bar sounds. He'd been out drinking. Everyone's going to know what you did. You'll be the family disgrace. He hung up mid-slur. Third voicemail. Father at 4:52 a.m. Daughter, I don't understand what we did wrong. Is it money we can pay you back? Set up payment plan. Please don't do this on Christmas. Think of your mother. Long pause. Heavy breathing. We raised you better than this. Fourth voicemail. Unknown number, professional woman's voice, Miss Chen. This is Patricia Wong from Chen and Associates Law. Your parents have retained me to consult on property access issue. Please call me at your earliest convenience. I saved all four. Dropped my phone on the counter. The coffee tasted like metal. Grace texted at 7:15. How are you doing, Num? You worried about you. My mom says your mom didn't sleep. Just cried all night. That's not my responsibility. I know. Just telling you. I showered, changed into clean clothes, tried to eat toast but my throat felt too tight. Ended up just drinking water. At 8:30 a.m. I called Patricia Wong back. Miss Chen, thank you for returning my call. Papers shuffled in the background. I've reviewed the situation. I need to be honest, your parents don't have legal standing. You're the financial guarantor with documented authority under building bylaws. What you did is completely legal. Then why are you calling? Because they paid me $500 for consultation. I owe them honest advice. That advice was they can't force you to provide access. But I'm also calling you because... She paused. Off the record, I've seen cases like this. Adult children exploited financially, then erased emotionally. What you did took courage. They're going to sue anyway, aren't they? They might threaten, but no attorney will take the case. There's no case. After we hung up, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop, opened the family Facebook page I'd been blocked from, but could still view through my archive. Mother had posted at 6:15 a.m. family emergency. Christmas party postponed. Thank you for understanding during this difficult time. 53 comments already. Oh no, is everyone okay? Praying for you. Margaret. Let us know if you need anything. No mention of what actually happened. No acknowledgement that I existed. Cousin Nathan had commented, Hope everything's okay. Merry Christmas. Someone named Jennifer Wu, I was at the party yesterday. Very confusing situation. Hope things work out. Another comment from someone named David Tran, heard your daughter finally stood up for herself. Good for her. That comment had been deleted. But I'd screenshotted it. At 10:00 a.m. Marcus texted checking in. You okay? Define okay. Fair. Want company? Not yet. Maybe later. I'm here if you need me. The morning stretched. I tried to work but couldn't focus. Tried to watch TV but nothing held my attention. Ended up just sitting at my window watching the city. At 11:30 a.m. Grace video called. Show me where you are, I said. She flipped the camera. Hotel hallway. Bathroom at the Four Seasons. They're in the room next door. Your parents. I can hear them through the wall. Hear what your dad on the phone. Calling people. Your mom crying. Grace flipped back to selfie mode. Tori, they're breaking down. Good. You mean that, yes. They needed to break. They were going to break me instead. My mom defended you this morning. Told them this was their fault. Your mom screamed at her. Called her a traitor. Is Linda okay? She's furious. She told me we're leaving early, cutting the visit short. At noon, my phone started ringing continuously. I recognized the pattern they were cycling through, people having everyone call me. Uncle Thomas? Aunt Jean? Cousin Nathan? Cousin Lisa? Family friend Margaret's book club member whose name I didn't even know. I answered none of them. Instead, I made a group text to the 5 people who'd reached out with support: Grace, Aunt Linda Marcus, and 2 cousins I barely knew but who'd sent kind messages. Thank you for understanding. I'm okay. I need space today. We'll reach out soon, Grace replied immediately. We love you. Linda, stay strong, niece. Marcus here if needed. At 1:00 p.m., David Park called. Miss Chen, your parents are back at the building, doing what, demanding I override the security system. I've explained 3 times I can't. They're threatening to sue the building. Let them threaten. I wanted you to know they're not leaving. They've been in the lobby for 2 hours. Some residents are complaining about the disturbance. Do you need me to do anything? No. Building security is handling it. But if they don't leave in the next hour, I'll have to ask them to vacate the premises. At 2:15 p.m., David texted, your parents refused to leave. Building security escorted them out. They're banned from the lobby until this situation resolves. I've documented everything. I saved his message, added it to the evidence folder. At 3:00 p.m., Brandon texted, Mom and Dad need a place tonight. Can they stay with you? I stared at the message. Read it 3 times to make sure I wasn't misunderstanding. No. Are you serious? Where are they supposed to go? Hotel? Like anyone else locked out of their home? You're unbelievable. This is low. Lower than excluding me from Christmas while keeping my money. That's not the same thing. You're right. I'm just withdrawing support. You all actively excluded me. He didn't respond. At 4:00 p.m., my mother sent a formal email. Subject: A mother's plea. Dear Victoria, I am writing to you as your mother, though I barely recognize the person you've become. The daughter I raised would never humiliate her family this way. We gave you everything. We sacrificed so you could have opportunities we never had. We came to this country with nothing and built a life so you could succeed. This is how you repay us. Your grandmother would be ashamed. Your father is ill with stress. Your brother is devastated. The entire family is in shock. Yes, we made a mistake with the Christmas email. We see that now. But your response is disproportionate and cruel. You've destroyed relationships that took decades to build. Over one email. We are still your family. We still love you. But we cannot accept this behavior. If you don't return the keys and apologize by tomorrow morning, you will be showing us who you truly are, and we will have no choice but to respond accordingly. I pray you find it in your heart to do the right thing. Your mother, Margaret Chen. I read it twice, saved it in the evidence folder, noted every manipulation technique. The daughter I raised, denying my agency. We gave you everything, erasing my contributions. Your grandmother would be ashamed, weaponizing dead relatives. Your father is ill, guilt, through false medical emergency, over one email, minimizing 6 years of exploitation, respond accordingly, vague threat. I didn't reply. At 5:00 p.m., Grace sent photos. My parents at a different hotel, looks like the Marriott downtown, cheaper than the Four Seasons. They're trying to find somewhere affordable, Grace texted. Everything's expensive on Christmas. Your dad keeps complaining about prices. The irony. The man who'd laughed about needing my money but not my presence was now experiencing what it costs to fund your own life. At 6:00 p.m., the party's original start time, my phone lit up with a group text I could see, but not participate in. Someone had screenshotted the family chat and sent it to me, probably Grace. Mother, we need to discuss what happened yesterday. Uncle Thomas. What exactly happened? I'm hearing different versions. Brandon Torrey locked them out of the penthouse. On Christmas Eve. With 40 guests coming. Aunt Jean. Why would she do that, Mother? We had a disagreement. She overreacted. Linda, that's not the full story. Mother Linda, please. Not now. Linda Margaret. You excluded Victoria from Christmas after she's paid for your penthouse for 6 years. This didn't come from nowhere, Uncle Thomas. She pays for the penthouse. Brandon, that's not relevant. Linda, it's completely relevant. She's the financial guarantor. Every bill, every fee, every expense, Victoria pays it. And you all excluded her. Aunt Jean, I didn't know that. Mother, that was a private family arrangement. Linda, private. You bragged about the penthouse constantly, you just never mentioned who funded it. The chat went silent after that. At 7:00 p.m., Aunt Linda called me. You saw the group chat. Grace sent screenshots. Good. I want you to know half the family didn't know you were paying for everything. They thought your parents owned it outright. Does it matter now? It matters because people are reconsidering their positions. Uncle Thomas asked me after, is that true? Victoria pays everything? When I said yes, he went quiet. He'll still side with them, maybe, but the narrative is cracking. People are asking questions. At 8:00 p.m., Marcus knocked on my door with pizza. You're not eating, he said. I can tell, he was right. I'd had toast and coffee, nothing else. We sat on my living room floor eating pizza straight from the box. The building's neighborhood app is wild, he said. People are taking sides. Some sympathize with your parents. Some are asking why an adult daughter was funding their lifestyle. It's becoming a whole thing. Great. Actually, it is. Public scrutiny means they can't control the narrative. People are seeing the complexity. At 9:30 p.m., Father called. I answered, We're at the Marriott, room 847. Your mother won't stop crying. Please just let us into the penthouse. We can figure everything else out later. No. Victoria, please, Dad, you laughed about needing my money but not my presence. Grace has it on recording. You strategized about keeping me dutiful. You erased 6 years of contributions. And when I finally said enough, you didn't apologize. You threatened me, tried to bribe David, got escorted out of the building. You haven't learned anything. We're trying. No, you're not. You're trying to get access back. That's different from actual change. I hung up. At 1:00 p.m., Brandon sent a long text. I've been thinking about everything. Maybe you're right that we took you for granted. Maybe we didn't appreciate what you did. But Tori, this response is nuclear. You've humiliated Mom and Dad publicly. The whole building knows. The whole family knows. This will follow them forever. Is that what you wanted? To destroy their reputation? To make them look like users and freeloaders? Because congratulations, you succeeded. But don't expect us to forget this. Don't expect Mom to ever forgive you. Don't expect Dad to trust you again. You chose this path. You live with it. I read it 3 times. Then typed, I didn't choose this path. I chose to stop walking a path where I was invisible. You all chose how to respond. The humiliation you're feeling, that's just visibility. Welcome to what I've felt for 6 years. I hit send. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. No response came. At 1:00 p.m., I stood at my window. The city was quiet. Christmas evening, most people home with family. My phone showed my call log 127 missed calls in 24 hours. My text threads hundreds of unread messages. My email dozens of family members weighing in. But my apartment was silent, secure, mine. I thought about this time last year, Christmas night alone after being excluded from Thanksgiving, wondering what I'd done wrong, trying to be smaller, quieter, more convenient. This year I wasn't wondering. I knew exactly what I'd done. I'd chosen visibility over convenience, boundaries over belonging, self-respect over family approval. The cost was enormous. The family was fractured. My parents were in a hotel. My reputation was destroyed in their eyes, but I could breathe. At 1:47 p.m., one final text arrived. From Mother, "We will never forgive you for this." I read it. Saved it. Replied, "I can live with that better than I could live with being invisible." I set my phone on the counter, made chamomile tea, sat in my dark living room with just the city lights for company. Christmas Day was ending, the day after the lockout, the day their world changed because I stopped holding it up. Tomorrow would bring more consequences, more calls, more guilt, more manipulation attempts. But tonight in this moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in 6 years. Peace. Terrible, costly peace. But real. At midnight, I fell asleep in my own bed in my own apartment with my own locks. And for the first time since I could remember, I didn't dream about being locked out. I dreamed about having keys. Christmas morning arrived silent. No alarm, no phone calls yet. The apartment felt suspended, like the moment between exhale and inhale. I woke at 8:34 a.m. to pale winter light. Lay in bed staring at the ceiling, processing that I'd actually slept 6 uninterrupted hours. My body ached from tension I hadn't released. The phone on my nightstand showed 3 missed calls, all from the same number, the Marriott downtown. My parents' hotel. No voicemail. I got up, made coffee, stood at the window. The street below was empty. Christmas morning, everyone inside with family, except me. The first call came at 9:12 a.m. Father. I answered on the 4th ring. "Merry Christmas, daughter." His voice was rough, like he'd been awake all night. Maybe he had been. "Merry Christmas." Silence stretched between us. I waited. He'd called me. "Your mother wants me to ask you something." "Ask then." "She wants to know what it would take for you to give us access back." I walked to my couch Saturday. That's not the right question. What is the right question? The right question is what has to change for us to have any relationship at all. More silence. I heard murmuring in the background, my mother's voice too distant to make out words. She says, "We can change. Whatever you need." "Dad, you're reading from a script she gave you." "No, He stopped. "Yes." She wrote notes. "What do you think, not Mom?" "You." A long pause. When he spoke again, his voice was different, quieter. "I think I don't know how we got here. I thought we were doing fine. Then suddenly everything collapsed. It wasn't sudden. It was 6 years of foundation crumbling while you all ignored the cracks. Can you help me understand? What did we miss?" Something in his tone made me believe he was actually asking, not strategizing. Actually trying to comprehend. "You missed me. The person. You saw the function, the bill payer, the reliable one, the dutiful daughter. You never saw Victoria, who likes hiking and reads science fiction and wants to adopt kids someday. You never asked." I didn't know you wanted to adopt." "Exactly." He was quiet for a long time. "What do we do now? I don't know." "But Dad, whatever happens next has to start with you and Mom taking financial responsibility for your own lives. I'm done funding a lifestyle you can't maintain. The Penthouse, sell it. Or find a way to pay for it yourselves. But I'm removing my financial backing." "That's not possible. We can't qualify for anything without your income." "Then you live within your actual means, not your aspirational means." I could hear him breathing. Processing. "Your mother will never agree to sell. Then she'll lose it when the payments stop and it forecloses. Her choice." "Victoria, I'm not being cruel. I'm being clear. You have until the end of January to figure out alternative housing. After that, I stop all payments. What you do with that timeline is up to you. You're giving us a month, I'm giving you a deadline. Use it. After he hung up, I sat holding the phone. That conversation felt different, real. Like he'd actually heard me instead of just waiting for his turn to argue. At 10:00 a.m. Grace video called. Merry Christmas, cousin. Merry Christmas. Where are you? She flipped the camera. A different hotel room, smaller. We checked out of the Four Seasons. My mom and I got our own place, Holiday Inn by the airport. Cheap and far from your parents. They're mad. Your mom screamed that we're abandoning her in her darkest hour. My mom said this is a consequence, not a tragedy. They're not speaking. I'm sorry you're caught in this. I'm not caught. I chose a side. Yours. She flipped back to selfie mode. My mom did too. She told your parents this morning that she's done enabling them. That they need therapy, not sympathy. How did they react? Your dad looked thoughtful. Your mom called her a traitor and said she'd regret this. We talked for 20 minutes. Grace told me about extended family reactions, some supportive, some outraged, many confused. Uncle Thomas called my mom last night, Grace said. Asked if it was true you'd been paying for everything. When she confirmed, he went quiet. Then said, that changes things. He's reconsidering his position. He'll still side with them, maybe, but he's thinking. That's progress. After Grace hung up, I made breakfast. Scrambled eggs, toast, coffee. Ate at my kitchen table, the normalcy surreal. Christmas morning alone, calm. My phone rang again. Marcus. Coffee later, he asked. Neutral ground. Decompression. That sounds good. When 1 o'clock, that place on Clement, I'll be there. The morning passed slowly. I tried reading but couldn't focus. Tried working but my laptop felt like a foreign object. Ended up just sitting at my window watching nothing. At 11:30 a.m. my mother called. I let it ring. Voicemail notification appeared. Her voice different now. Not angry. Defeated. Victoria, it's Christmas. I'm sitting in a hotel room. Your father is on the phone trying to find apartments we can afford. Brandon is angry at both of us. Linda won't speak to me. And you're somewhere else. Not here. Not with us. Pause. I could hear her breathing. I don't understand how we got here. Your father says I should ask you what I missed, but I don't know how to ask that question, because asking means admitting I don't know you. And if I don't know you after 34 years, what does that say about me? Longer pause. I'm not ready to answer that. I'm not ready to see what you want me to see, but I'm starting to realize I'll have to. Because you're not coming back, not to who we were. The voicemail ended. I sat staring at my phone. That was the most honest thing she'd ever said to me. At 1:00 p.m. I met Marcus at the cafe. He was already there, 2 coffees waiting. You look exhausted, he said. I am. We sat by the window. Outside, a few people walked by carrying wrapped gifts, heading to late celebrations. Your parents called the building management this morning, Marcus said. Formal complaint, claiming you're illegally denying them access to their property. David will shut that down. He already did. Sent them a formal letter citing building bylaws and your financial guarantor status. CC'd the co-op board. Your parents don't have a leg to stand on legally. They'll try something else. Probably. But Victoria, you need to think about what you actually want here. Not just what you're protecting against. What outcome would satisfy you? I wrapped my hands around the warm coffee cup. I want them to understand what they did. Really understand. Not just be sorry they got caught. That's a high bar. I know. But anything less is just performance. They'll revert the moment I give them what they want. So what's your plan? Financial separation? Completely. They find housing they can afford. I remove my name from everything related to the penthouse. We see if there's any relationship left after that. Marcus nodded slowly. That's rational. But relationships aren't always rational. This one has to be. Or it'll just repeat. We talked for 2 hours. About boundaries, about family systems, about the difference between punishment and consequence. Marcus had seen it in his legal practice families who couldn't distinguish between setting limits and inflicting harm. The fact that you're still taking their calls tells me you haven't written them off completely, he said. I don't want to write them off. I want them to change. Those desires might not be compatible. When I got home at 3:30 p.m., I found an email from my mother. No subject line. Victoria, I listened to my voicemail from this morning. I heard what I said. About not knowing you. About not being ready to see what you want me to see. Your father told me about your phone call. About how you said we never asked who you are as a person. He's right. I didn't. I'm not going to make excuses. I'm not going to say I was busy or overwhelmed or that this is cultural difference. Those things might be true, but they don't matter. What matters is that I had a daughter, and I turned her into a function. I'm in therapy. I called someone today. Dr. Elena Rodriguez. I have an appointment on the 28th. Your father has been seeing someone since Thanksgiving. Did you know that he didn't tell me until yesterday? Said he knew something was wrong but didn't know how to fix it. We're looking at apartments tomorrow, places we can actually afford on retirement income. It's humbling. We had a penthouse, and now we're looking at 2 bedrooms in the Sunset. But your father says humility might be what we need. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking you to reverse what you did. I'm just telling you that we're trying to do what you asked, to take responsibility. I don't know if this matters to you. Maybe you're done. Maybe we destroyed something that can't be rebuilt. But I wanted you to know. Merry Christmas, daughter. Mom, I read it 3 times. Saved it in a new folder. Potential, change, evidence not proof yet. Just potential. At 5:00 p.m., Brandon called. I'm only calling once, he said. So listen, I'm listening. I talked to Mom and Dad for 3 hours today. About money, about you, about everything. I didn't know the full extent of what you were paying. I knew you helped, but I thought it was like rent contribution, not everything. You signed the exclusion email without knowing I signed it because Mom said it was best for everyone. I didn't question it. I should have. He paused. I waited. I was jealous of you. Your career, your independence, your ability to just not need anyone. I see that now. And I took Mom's side because it was easier than examining my own shit. Are you apologizing I'm trying to? I'm not good at this. Keep trying. Tori, I'm not asking you to forgive them. Or me. But I'm asking you to know that we're not ignoring this anymore. Dad's in therapy. Mom's starting. I'm going to start in January. We're actually dealing with our stuff. Why now? Because you forced us to. By stopping. By saying no. By making the cost visible. After he hung up, I sat on my couch in the gathering darkness. Christmas evening. The city lights coming on across the street. 3 phone calls today. Father, Mother, Brandon. Each one different from any conversation we'd had before. Real. Raw. Unscripted. Maybe it was temporary. Maybe once they got access back, they'd revert. I'd been manipulated before. But something felt different. Not in what they said. In what I heard underneath. Fear. Real fear that they'd lost me permanently. That fear might be the beginning of actual change. Or it might just be strategy. Time would tell. At 7:00 p.m., Aunt Linda called. I'm proud of you, she said without preamble. For what? For not backing down. For holding the line even when they started doing the work. That's the hardest part, boundaries when people are trying to change. How do I know if it's real? You watch. You wait. Real change is consistent over time. Performance is intense but brief. Give it 3 months. See if they're still doing the work when the crisis has passed. 3 months is a long time. Healing takes longer than breaking. You know this. After we hung up, I made dinner. Pasta, simple sauce salad. Ate at my table alone, but not lonely. My phone showed the day's activity: 15 calls, 32 texts, 3 voicemails, 1 significant email. Evidence of impact. Of boundaries working. At 9:00 p.m., I opened my journal, a new habit from before all this started, suggested by the therapist I'd been seeing since November. Today's entry, Christmas Day. First one, completely alone. Expected to feel sadness. Instead, feel clarity. 3 family members called with what sounded like genuine reflection. Mom's email showed awareness. I've never heard from her. Dad actually asked what he missed instead of defending what he did. Brandon admitted jealousy. Is it real? Don't know yet. Linda says watch for 3 months. See if change is consistent or just crisis motivated. For now, I held my boundaries. Offered a path forward: financial independence, potential relationship after. Didn't cave to guilt. Didn't retaliate beyond necessary. Feel tired but solid. Grieving what was uncertain about what comes next, but clear I did what I needed to do. Tomorrow they look for apartments. I finalize my boundaries. We see if there's anything to rebuild. I closed the journal. Checked my phone one last time. 1 new text. From father: found a 2-bedroom in the Sunset. $3,400 divided by month. We can afford it on retirement income. Viewing tomorrow at 10 a.m. This is real, Victoria. We're doing what you asked. I replied, good. Keep me updated. Simple, boundaried. Not warm but not cold either. Space for them to prove themselves. At 1:00 p.m., I turned off all the lights except my bedroom lamp. Changed into pajamas. Climbed into bed in my secured apartment. Tomorrow would bring more complications, more evidence of change or more performance, more decisions about how much space to allow. But tonight, Christmas night, I felt something unexpected. Hope, small, cautious, guarded, but present. They'd said the right things. Now they needed to do the right things, consistently, over time. I could wait. I could watch. I'd gotten good at both. I fell asleep thinking about apartments in the Sunset, about parents humbled, about therapy appointments and 3-month timelines, about locked doors that might someday, with work and time and genuine change, open into something new. Not what we were, but maybe something real. February 8th arrived with fog thick enough to muffle the city's usual morning sounds. I stood at my kitchen window with coffee, watching the white blur everything across the street, and opened my laptop. The spreadsheet stared back at me. Family, reconciliation, 3-month, review 40 wents, 12 weeks of data. Every interaction logged, coffee dates with my mother, phone calls with my father, dinners with Brandon. Each row marked date type, boundaries, honored, red flags, notes. Today was the 6-week checkpoint. Halfway to Aunt Linda's 3-month recommendation. My phone rang. David Park, the building manager. Morning, Miss Chen. Wanted to give you a heads up. Your parents officially listed the Penthouse for sale yesterday. I set my coffee down carefully. They actually did it. Listed at $4.1 million. Below market but realistic for quick sale. Thought you'd want to know. After he hung up, I pulled up the listing online. There it was. Luxury penthouse, Russian Hill, 2BR, divided by 2BA, stunning views. Photos showed the space empty of party decorations. Just furniture, clean lines, the view I'd paid for but never owned. Asking price, $4, 100,000. Days on market 1. They were really doing it. At 9:00 a.m. I had my therapy appointment. Doctor. Maya Patel's office in Nob Hill, the same small room I'd been coming to twice a week since January. "How was your week?" she asked, settling into her chair. "Complicated. My parents listed the Penthouse. How do you feel about that?" Relieved, sad, both is allowed. She made a note. "Tell me about the sadness." I thought about it. It was their dream, the Penthouse. Proof they'd made it. Watching them let it go feels like watching them shrink. And the relief they're finally living in reality instead of performance. Dr. Patel nodded. "You've mentioned your mother started therapy. How's that affecting your interactions?" "She's different, quieter, less performative. We've had coffee 4 times in 6 weeks. Tuesday mornings, different cafes. What do you talk about getting to know each other?" Week 1, her childhood in Taiwan. Week 2, books we're both reading. Last week she shared fears about aging. This week I paused. This week I told her about wanting to adopt someday. First time I've shared something vulnerable with her. "How did she respond?" She cried. Said she didn't know that about me. Asked questions. Real questions, not the performative kind. That's significant progress. I pulled out my phone, showed her the spreadsheet. "I've been tracking everything." "Is that healthy or obsessive, doctor?" Patel looked at the data. "Given the history of manipulation, this is protective. But Victoria, at some point you'll need to decide, are you watching for evidence of change or for evidence to justify staying separate? What's the difference? Evidence of change looks for growth. Evidence of separation looks for failure. One allows relationship, one doesn't." The question stayed with me after the session ended. At 1:30 a.m. I met Grace for lunch. She'd started at UCSF in January, looked tired but happy in her lab coat. So she asked over ramen. 6-week evaluation. "What's the verdict?" "I think it's real. But I'm scared to believe it." "That's trauma. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop." My therapist said the same thing. Grace twirled noodles. "My mom sees your mom weekly now, for coffee. She says Margaret's really grappling with hard stuff in therapy, not performing. How can Linda tell she's not talking about it constantly?" People who perform change announce it. People actually changing just change. At 1:00 p.m., my mother texted making lunch at the new apartment. "Want to come over? No pressure." I stared at no pressure. 2 words she'd never used before. "I'll be there at 2. The Sunset District apartment was on 19th Avenue, 2nd floor of a modest building. No doorman, no elevator, no view. I climbed the stairs with flowers from the corner market. My mother opened the door in jeans and a cardigan. No makeup. Hair in a simple ponytail. "You came." She took the flowers, smiled. "Come in." The apartment was maybe 900 square feet. Living room and kitchen combined, 2 small bedrooms visible down a short hall. Furniture from the penthouse that fit the rest, sold or in storage. IKEA shelves mixing with designer chairs. It smelled like cooking. Ginger garlic home. "Your father's making dumplings," she said, his new hobby. I found him in the kitchen wearing an apron, flour on his hands, focused on folding dough. "Daughter." He looked up, smiled. "You're just in time. I need quality control." We made dumplings together. My mother teaching my father, attempting me, falling into the rhythm I'd learned as a child. The apartment was quiet, except for our voices and the sound of water boiling. "This is nice," my father said. "Simple." My mother nodded. I forgot how much I used to like this. Over lunch, dumplings slightly burnt on the bottom but edible. My father told me about their first mid-autumn festival in America. We had nothing. Tiny apartment in Oakland. No mooncakes, no family. "Your mother cried missing Taiwan." He looked at her. "I promised someday we'd have a big house, big celebrations." "You kept that promise," I said. "But I lost what mattered." He set down his chopsticks. "That fire escape was better. We were together. My mother reached across the small table, took my hand. Victoria, I want to tell you something. When you were born, I never told you this. It was Mid-Autumn Festival, full moon. You came early, I didn't know that. I held you under the moon, promised to love you well. Her voice broke. I didn't keep that promise. I'm sorry. The afternoon stretched into evening. We talked about things we'd never discussed. My work, their retirement, Brandon's therapy progress. At 5:00 p.m. I stood to leave. My mother hugged me at the door. Tuesday coffee, as usual, as usual. Driving home, I felt something unfamiliar. Not happiness exactly, but possibility. At 7:00 p.m. Grace called. How was it? Good. Really good. They're different, Grace. Are you letting yourself believe it? Starting to. That night I updated my spreadsheet. 6 weeks of mostly green flags, a few yellow cautions, no major red alerts. Under assessment, I wrote consistent progress. Not perfect, but genuine. Parents maintaining therapy, affordable housing, boundaries mostly respected, weekly interactions comfortable. Beginning to know each other as people. At 1:00 p.m., my mother sent a text, "Thank you for coming today." It meant everything. I replied, "Thank you for making space for me." Really making space. 3 months ago, I'd locked them out of a penthouse. Tonight, they'd welcomed me into a modest apartment with homemade dumplings and honest conversation. Not the family I'd had, but maybe the beginning of something real. I fell asleep thinking about Dr. Patel's question, was I watching for growth or failure? Tonight I'd seen growth. Small, imperfect, fragile, but real. At midnight I woke to a text. "Brandon, dinner soon. Just us two," I typed back, "after we see how this month goes. But maybe. Fair enough. Night, sis." I set the phone down, rolled over, and slept through until morning. No nightmares, no anxiety dreams, just sleep. The next few weeks passed in a rhythm I'd never experienced with my family. Tuesday morning coffees with my mother became the anchor of my week. Each meeting at a different cafe, each conversation going deeper. Week 7, she showed me her watercolor paintings. Clumsy landscapes of the Golden Gate Bridge, but painted with focus I'd never seen her apply to anything. "When did you start painting?" I asked. 2 weeks ago. My therapist suggested finding something I did just for me. Not for image, just for joy. Week 8, I told her about my dating life, or lack of it. How I'd been too drained by family dysfunction to have energy for relationships. "Do you want to date?" she asked. "Eventually. When I trust my judgment again." She nodded. "I destroyed your ability to trust. I see that now." Week 9. She asked about my work. Not the superficial questions, how's the job, but real interest. What I was building, why it mattered, what challenged me. "I never asked about your work before," she said. I didn't understand it. Tech felt foreign. "You could have asked." I was afraid. Asking meant admitting I didn't know, and I always had to know everything. Week 10, she gave me something. A small notebook worn at the edges. "What's this I've been writing? Things I'm learning in therapy. About narcissism, about my childhood, about what I did to you. I made you a copy." I flipped through it. Her handwriting, pages of reflection. "I can read this, I want you to. So you know I'm doing the work when you're not there." That night I read her notebook cover to cover. Entries like Dr. Rodriguez asked why I needed Victoria invisible, realized her visibility meant my inadequacy showed. If she was just a function, I didn't have to face my dependence. And I told Margaret Chen she was successful. But Margaret Chen was broke and terrified. Victoria was successful. I resented her for being what I pretended to be. And I'm learning the word enmeshment. I didn't see Victoria as separate person. I saw her as extension of me. When she succeeded, I took credit. When she pulled away, I felt abandoned. Neither response saw her as whole person. I called her after reading. Thank you for sharing this. Is it helpful or is it too much? It's helpful. It shows me you're serious. I am serious. Victoria, I'm 62 years old. I'm learning how to be a mother. It's humiliating and necessary. On March 1st, my parents moved into the Sunset apartment officially. The Penthouse had sold in 3 weeks. Fast sale cash buyer closed escrow. They netted $800,000 after paying off the mortgage and closing costs. Put half in savings, half in conservative investments. Enough to supplement retirement without living beyond their means. My father called me from the new place. We're unpacked. Well, mostly. Your mother keeps rearranging furniture. How does it feel smaller? But ours. We can afford this without you. That matters. It does. Victoria, I want to tell you something my therapist helped me see. I used silence as a weapon. When things got hard, I went quiet. Let your mother make decisions. Let problems fester. That silence hurt you as much as her actions. Yeah, it did. I'm learning to speak up. To be present instead of absent. It's uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. My therapist says the same thing. In mid-March, Brandon called. That dinner. Just siblings. Still interested, yeah. When this weekend, Saturday, we met at a barbecue place in the Mission. Casual, loud, no pressure. So he said, over brisket. I've been in therapy for 6 weeks. How is it hard? I'm working on my jealousy, my tendency to compete instead of connect, my fear of not being enough. He looked at me. I was jealous of you for years, Tori. Your career, your independence. I took that out on you. I know. I'm sorry. I appreciate that. Can we? He paused. Can we try again? At being siblings we are trying, right now, this. He smiled. Yeah, I guess we are. We talked for 3 hours. About his work, stress, his relationship, fears, his realization that he'd been living for parental approval instead of his own values. Locking them out, he said. It freed all of us. I see that now. By late March, I'd stopped checking my spreadsheet daily. The data had stabilized, green flags, consistent boundaries, holding progress evident. Dr. Patel noticed in our Tuesday session. You seem lighter. I feel lighter. Like I'm not waiting for disaster anymore. What shifted? Time. Consistency. They've done what they said for almost 3 months. Mom's still in therapy. Dad's still doing his work. Brandon's showing up. They're not perfect, but they're trying. How does that feel? Scary. Like hoping might jinx it. Hope isn't a jinx. It's acknowledging possibility. At the end of March, my mother asked to have coffee, just us outside our normal Tuesday. We met at a cafe in the Sunset near their apartment. She was nervous, fidgeting with her cup. I need to tell you something. Okay. In therapy, Dr. Rodriguez asked what I admire about you. I couldn't answer at first, not because I don't admire you, because I'd never let myself. Why not admiring you meant admitting I'd failed as a mother, that you'd become successful despite me, not because of me. She pulled out a folded piece of paper. I wrote this 3 weeks ago. Never gave it to you. Too scared. But I'm ready now. I unfolded it. A letter, her handwriting. My daughter Victoria, I see you now. Not as function or extension, but as person. You like hiking at dawn. You read science fiction. You want to adopt children someday. You're kind and strong and braver than I ever was. I'm proud of you. Not for what you achieved despite me, but for who you are. The person I never took time to know. I'm sorry I made you invisible. I'm sorry I used you. I'm sorry it took you locking doors for me to see what I'd done. Thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for the chance. Your mother learning Margaret. I read it twice, tears blurring the words. Can I keep this? It's yours. We sat in silence, both crying quietly while coffee got cold. Mom, yes, I want you to know I see you trying. Really trying. That means everything. She reached across the table, held my hand. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. Yeah, I said. We are. That night I called Aunt Linda. 3 months. What's the verdict? She laughed. You passed the checkpoint. They're doing the work even when you're not watching. That's real change. So what now? Now you decide what relationship you want. Not what you had, not what they want. What you want. I thought about it. I want coffee dates and dinners. I want honesty and boundaries. I want to know them and let them know me. Slowly, carefully. That's wise. Is it weird that I'm happy after everything? It's beautiful. You're not happy because they changed. You're happy because you chose yourself and they chose to meet you there. At midnight on March 31st, I closed my tracking spreadsheet. Saved it as family, reconciliation, Q1, complete. 90 days of data, mostly green, some yellow, no red, progress. Real, documented, consistent progress. Not perfect, but genuine. Tomorrow was April 1st. A new quarter. New phase. I'd spent January through March watching, testing, protecting. April through June could be about building. Carefully. With boundaries. But actually building. I fell asleep thinking about possibility instead of threat. And slept through the night without waking once. Saturday morning, February 15th. I stood in front of my bathroom mirror at 8:00 a.m., buttoning a white blouse with hands that wouldn't stay steady, navy suit jacket on the bed. The professional armor I wore to difficult meetings at work. Today felt like the most difficult meeting of my life. My phone showed a text from Marcus, sent at 7:45, ready when you are. I'll drive, I replied. Be there in 20. In the kitchen, I made coffee I barely tasted. Reviewed the notes on my phone, questions Dr. Patel had helped me prepare. What have you learned about yourselves? Are you doing personal work? What would be different if we rebuild? The questions felt simultaneously too soft and too hard. At 8:30, Marcus knocked. I grabbed my bag, laptop, water bottle, the printed list of questions, my boundary reminders written on an index card I'd slip into my pocket. You look terrified, he said. I am. That's healthy. Means you care about the outcome. We drove to Zuni Cafe in his car. I watched the city pass, people walking, dogs buying coffee, living normal Saturday mornings. My stomach felt like it was trying to exit my body. Worst case scenario, Marcus said. What happens? They perform change. I see through it. We stay separated. Best case, they've actually done the work. We rebuild slowly. Very slowly. And most likely, somewhere messy in between. We arrived at 2:50 p.m. The restaurant was bustling with lunch crowd lingering into late afternoon. Through the window I saw them already seated, my parents and Brandon at a corner table. I froze on the sidewalk. Marcus's hand on my shoulder. You're in control. You set the terms. They agreed to be here on your conditions. Deep breath. Okay. We walked in. The hostess gestured toward the corner. I approached Marcus slightly behind. They looked different. My mother in a simple sweater and slacks, minimal makeup, hair unstyled. My father in a button-down, no-tie, face lined with exhaustion. Brandon in jeans and a t-shirt, none of his usual put-together appearance. They all stood when they saw me. Tori. Brandon's voice was careful. Thanks for coming. My mother stepped forward, stopped. No hug attempted. Victoria. You look well, Mom, Dad. Brandon. I gestured to Marcus. This is Marcus Okonkwo. He's here as support. My father nodded. Mr. Okonkwo. Please, Marcus is fine. We Saturday. The table created a clear division, me and Marcus on one side, them on the other. A waiter appeared, we ordered drinks. The small talk was impossible. Silence settled heavy. I waited. They'd asked for this meeting. My father finally spoke. Thank you for agreeing to meet. I said I'd listen. That's what I'm doing. My mother's hands clasped tight on the table. We understand. We're grateful you're here. More silence. I pulled out my notebook. I have questions. How you answer them will help me understand what's actually changed. Brandon nodded. My parents exchanged a glance. First question. What have you learned about yourselves in the last 6 weeks? The silence stretched. My father looked at my mother. She looked at her hands. Finally, my father spoke. I learned I was a coward. The bluntness surprised me. I let your mother control family dynamics because confronting her was harder than going along. I watched you be excluded. I said nothing. That's not being a father. That's being complicit. My mother was next slower. I learned I was insecure. She struggled with the word. You succeeded without needing me. That threatened me, made me feel useless. So I made you small to feel big. She looked up, met my eyes. That's abuse. I abused my daughter. Something in my chest cracked. This wasn't rehearsed corporate speak. This was raw admission. Brandon shifted. I learned I was jealous. My career was struggling, you were thriving. Easier to join Mom in excluding you than face my own failures. He looked directly at me. I'm ashamed of that. I wrote notes. Actual self-awareness. Specific examples. No deflection. Second question. Are you doing personal work, therapy, counseling, anything? My father answered immediately. I've had 6 therapy sessions now with Dr. Richard Kwan. He's helping me understand enmeshment, how I never separated from my own parents' expectations and repeated that pattern with you. My mother hesitated. I haven't started therapy yet. My disappointment must have shown because she quickly added, but I bought 3 books on narcissistic parenting. She pulled a worn paperback from her purse. The drama of the gifted child pages, dog-eared, highlighted heavily. I see myself in these pages. It's painful, but I'm reading. Not ideal, but something. Brandon, I haven't started therapy yet either. But I will. In January. I already found someone. Marcus leaned forward slightly. I could feel him taking mental notes. Third question. What would be different if we rebuild a relationship? My father. We wouldn't expect financial support. The apartment we're moving to, we can afford it on retirement income. Tight budget but sustainable. Brandon, I'm not asking for money anymore either. I got a second job consulting on weekends, covering my own debts. My mother and this felt crucial. If we rebuild, I would ask before assuming. Ask if you want to come to events, not exclude you. Ask what you need, not tell you what you owe. She paused. I would listen. Really listen. I never listened before. I performed. The admission hung in the air. I don't know if I can change completely, she continued, but I want to try. I wrote listening, asking, awareness of performing. Fourth question. How will you handle disagreements going forward? My father. Not by cutting you out. Never again. If we disagree, we talk. Or we don't talk, but we don't punish. My mother added. And we don't turn family against you. I called everyone after Christmas, told them the truth that we excluded you while taking your money, that it was wrong. I looked up sharply. You did what I told them. We excluded you while you were paying for everything. Some people stopped talking to me. That's my consequence. Brandon confirmed about half the family took your side after hearing the full story. Uncle Thomas won't speak to Dad. Says he dishonored the family. My father's voice was quiet. Maybe I did, but I dishonored you first. I set down my pen. This was more than I'd expected. Specific accountability, public admission, acceptance of social consequences. Last question. What does financial independence mean going forward? My mother firm. No expectations. None. We don't ask for money, loans, co-signing, nothing. If we can't afford something, we don't buy it. My father, the penthouse sale closes in 3 weeks. We'll have some equity. Not millions, but enough for a cushion. We're learning to live smaller. I looked at Marcus. He gave a small nod. They sound sincere. The food arrived. We ate slowly, conversation shifting to logistics. The apartment viewing the moving timeline, what furniture would fit in a smaller space. My mother said something that caught me. Can I say something not on the question list? Go ahead, I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. Her voice broke. Not sorry we got caught. Sorry for every year you felt invisible. You deserved better. You deserved to be celebrated. I failed you as a mother. She was crying now, not delicate tears, but genuine sobs. My father's hand on her shoulder. Brandon looking away, also emotional. Thank you for saying that, I said. My voice was steadier than I expected. I needed to hear it, but I need you to know this doesn't erase what happened. It's a start, not a finish. My mother wiped her eyes. I understand. I don't expect instant forgiveness. I just hope for a chance. However long it takes. The conversation continued for another hour. I laid out my conditions. Therapy requirement, Mom, you need to start. Not just read books. She nodded. I'll call someone this week. Linda gave me a referral. Communication boundaries. No group texts without my permission. No sharing my information with extended family. If I say I need space, you respect it. My mother agreed. All of it. Financial separation. We don't discuss money, period. I'm not your financial planner or backup plan. My father understood. That's fair. Gradual rebuilding. We start small. Coffee dates, not family dinners. We keep this private while we figure it out. I reserve the right to slow down or pause if things feel unhealthy. My mother asked, what's the timeline? There isn't one. It takes however long it takes. My father. And if we feel you're holding the past over us, unfairly. Fair question. Then you say so. Respectfully. And we work through it. This has to be two-way. Finally, I pulled the penthouse keys from my purse, set them on the table between us. I'm returning these today. My parents exhaled in visible relief. But understand this is symbolic. I'm giving up control because I choose to trust you're making changes, not because you forced me. My father took the keys. We won't take that for granted. Brandon spoke up. Can I ask something? Would you be willing to have dinner with just me sometime? Not with parents, just siblings. I want to know you again. I considered. Maybe. After we see how this month goes. Fair enough. Marcus, who'd been mostly silent, spoke. If I may say something, I'm here as Tori's friend. I've watched her set boundaries that terrified her. She did it because you all taught her she had no worth beyond usefulness. My parents flinched but didn't argue. What I see today, people trying. Not perfectly, but genuinely. Don't waste this chance. Not everyone gets one. My father, we won't. You have my word. At 4:25, I stood to leave. First coffee date next Saturday. Just parents and me. My mother, yes. Where I'll text you the place and time. My father smiled sadly. You're maintaining control of meetings. That's smart. We earned that. Hugs happened at the door. My mother's arms opened. I accepted, brief but real. My father's hug was longer. Thank you, daughter. Brandon's hug last. Love you, sis. Love you too. But we have work to do. I know. Outside, crisp February air hit my face. Marcus and I walked to his car in silence. Once inside, he turned to me. How do you feel? Exhausted, hopeful, scared, all of it. You held your boundaries and left space for connection. That's advanced emotional work. We drove back to my apartment. I thanked him, hugged him at my door. You did good today, he said. Alone in my apartment, I collapsed on the couch. My phone showed messages from Grace. How did it go? I typed better than expected. They showed up. Actually showed up. Proud of you. I opened my journal. Today's entry, the family meeting happened. They said the right things. Specific accountability, no major deflection, public truth-telling therapy commitment. Is it real? Time will tell. But today felt different. Not performance, something raw and honest. Set clear boundaries. They accepted without negotiation. Mom cried real tears, not manipulative ones. Dad admitted cowardice. Brandon owned his jealousy. Returned the keys. Symbolic, but significant. Next, watch for consistency. Words are easy. Action over time is proof. Feel cautiously hopeful. Scared to hope, but hoping anyway. I closed the journal, made tea. Sat at my window watching the city lights come on. My phone buzzed. Father, thank you for today. We won't let you down, I replied. Actions speak louder than words, but I'm listening for both. At 10 p.m. I fell asleep thinking about coffee dates and second chances and the difference between performance and genuine change. Tomorrow would bring more uncertainty. But today had brought possibility, small, fragile, real, and that was enough for now. May 18th arrived with morning light that turned my kitchen window golden. I sat at the table with coffee laptop open, staring at a spreadsheet I'd maintained religiously for 12 weeks. Family, reconciliation, 3-month, review. XLSX 72 rows of data. Every interaction since February 15th logged with the precision I brought to debugging code. Date type boundaries honored red flags notes. Week 1 to 4 coffee dates with parents. Topics light getting to know you. One boundary slip. Mom asked about my salary, caught herself mid-question, apologized. Dad's therapy continuing weekly. Mom started therapy February 28th, 2 weeks later than promised, but she started. Week 5 to 8 2 family dinners at restaurants. Brandon present at 1 appropriate behavior. Penthouse sold March 15th. Parents moved March 22nd. I helped minimally, advice only, no labor, no money. 1 violation. Dad asked to borrow $500 for moving costs. I said no firmly. He accepted without guilt trip. Week 9 to 12. 3 dinners, comfort increasing. First visit to their apartment, my choice to go. Mom apologized unprompted for something from 1998 I'd barely remembered. Sign of deep therapy work, not surface. The data was mostly green. Some yellow cautions, no red flags. My phone buzzed. Grace video calling, evaluation day. What's the verdict? I looked at the screen. I think it's real, but I'm scared to trust it. That's your trauma talking. You're waiting for them to revert. My therapist says the same thing. Grace was in her UCSF lab wearing safety goggles pushed up on her forehead. My mom sees your mom weekly, says Margaret's really working through hard stuff, not performing it. How can Linda tell the difference? People who perform change announce it constantly. People actually changing just change. After we hung up, I checked my messages. Mother sent at 9:00 a.m. making lunch today. Want to come over? No pressure. No pressure. Words she'd never used before. I'll be there at 1, I replied. At noon, I drove to the Sunset. Their building was modest, no doorman, street parking. I found a spot 2 blocks away, walked with flowers from the corner market. Second floor, no elevator. I climbed stairs that creaked. Knocked on 3B. My mother opened the door in jeans and a loose sweater. No makeup, hair in a ponytail. You came. She took the flowers, smiled without performance. Come in. The apartment was maybe 900 square feet. Living room and kitchen combined. I could see both bedrooms from the entrance. Furniture from the penthouse that fit a couch, the dining table cut down to seat 4 instead of 12. IKEA bookshelves next to designer lamps. Nothing matched. Everything worked. It smelled like ginger and garlic. Home cooking. Your father's making dumplings, my mother said. He's obsessed now. I found him in the tiny kitchen apron on flour on his hands, completely focused on folding dough. Daughter. He looked up, face lighting up. Perfect timing. I need you to tell me if these are any good. We made dumplings together. The three of us in a kitchen barely big enough for two bumping elbows, laughing when my father's folds came out lopsided. My mother, patient as she'd been when I was 10, teaching the pinch and fold technique, I'd forgotten. This is nice, my father said quietly. Simple. My mother nodded. I forgot how much I liked this, making things with my hands, with people I love. The dumplings were slightly burnt on the bottom. My father's heat control needed work, but we ate them at the small table and they tasted like more than food. They tasted like effort. I want to tell you something, my father said over tea. About our first Mid-Autumn festival in America. Okay. We had nothing. Tiny apartment in Oakland. No mooncakes, no money for celebration. Your mother, cried Missing Taiwan. I promised her someday we'd have a big house, big celebrations. He looked at my mother. I kept that promise, but I lost what mattered in the process. My mother's eyes were wet. The fire escape in Oakland was better than the penthouse. We were together then. Really together. She reached across the table, took my hand. Victoria, I never told you this. You were born on Mid-Autumn Festival. Full moon night. You came early. I didn't know that. I held you under the moon. Promised to love you well. Her voice broke. I didn't keep that promise. I'm so sorry. My throat was tight. You're keeping it now. That counts. The afternoon stretched. We talked about my work, real questions, genuine interest, their retirement adjustment, Brandon's therapy progress. At 4:00 p.m. I stood to leave. My mother walked me to the door. Tuesday coffee, our regular time, wouldn't miss it. She hugged me longer than usual. Thank you for coming, for giving us chances, plural. Driving home, I felt something I hadn't expected. Not happiness, exactly, but lightness. Like I'd been carrying weight I hadn't realized was there until it lifted. That evening, I called Dr. Patel on the emergency line she'd given me for between-session processing. I visited them today. It was good, really good. And that scares me. Why does their change scare you? Because if they can change, I have to let them back in. And letting them in means risking being hurt again. Victoria, you've spent 3 months watching testing, protecting yourself. That was necessary. But at some point, protection becomes prison. What do? You decide, is the risk of hurt worse than the guarantee of distance? I don't know. What does your gut say? I sat with the question. It says try. Carefully. But try, then try. With boundaries still in place, you can engage and still protect yourself. Those aren't opposites. At 8:00 p.m., Marcus stopped by with Thai food. You look different, he said, unpacking containers. Lighter. I visited my parents, their new place, and it was normal, in a good way. We made dumplings, talked, it felt real. Marcus handed me a fork. From a legal perspective, they've met every condition you set. Therapy, both attending consistently. Financial independence, maintaining their apartment without your help. Boundaries, honoring them even when uncomfortable. Communication, respectful, no manipulation. So you think it's real, I think the contract's being fulfilled. Now the question is emotional. Do you want them in your life? I'm afraid to want it, because wanting means hoping. And hoping means you can be disappointed. Exactly. But Victoria, hoping also means you can be surprised. Sometimes people actually do the work. The next week brought a rhythm that felt almost normal. Tuesday coffee with my mother at our usual cafe in Japantown. She brought her therapy journal, a worn notebook she'd been keeping. Can I show you something? Of course. She opened to a page dated March 15th. Dr. Rodriguez asked me to write about you, not as my daughter, as a person. This is what I wrote. I read her handwriting. Victoria likes hiking early morning before crowds. She reads science fiction, Ursula Le Guin especially. She wants to adopt children someday, though she's never told me why. She's methodical, kind, stronger than I gave her credit for. She's also lonely, though she hides it well. I made her lonely by making her invisible. I don't know her favorite color. I don't know if she's dated anyone seriously. I don't know what makes her laugh or what she does on Saturday nights. I'm her mother and I don't know her. This is what I destroyed, the chance to know this person. I looked up. My mother was watching me carefully. That's the most you've ever seen me, I said. I want to see more. If you'll let me. We spent the rest of that coffee learning each other. She told me about her painting. She'd started watercolors, clumsy but earnest attempts at landscapes. I told her about the hiking trails I loved, the books that shaped my thinking, why I wanted to adopt. I want to give a kid what I didn't have, I said, a parent who sees them. My mother's eyes filled. You will be an incredible mother. I learned what not to do from you. She didn't flinch. That's fair. I hope you also learned that it's never too late to try to change. By mid-May, the 3-month mark arrived. I closed my tracking spreadsheet for the last time. The final summary read 12 weeks of consistent progress. Parents maintaining therapy, affordable housing boundaries, mostly respected. Weekly interactions comfortable. Beginning to know each other as people. Recommendation: cautiously continue engagement. Watch for sustained consistency over next 3 months. I called Aunt Linda that evening. 3 months. Official checkpoint. What do you think? She laughed. You passed. They're doing the work even when you're not watching. That's real change, Victoria. So what now? Now you decide what relationship you want. Not what you had, not what they want. What you want. I thought about it. I want coffee dates and dinners. I want to know them and let them know me. Slowly. That's wise. You're not enmeshed, not estranged. You're boundaried and connected. Is it weird that I'm happy? It's beautiful. You're not happy because they changed. You're happy because you chose yourself and they chose to meet you there. That night, I journaled 3-month evaluation complete. Data shows consistent change. Not perfect, but genuine. They've done what they said they'd do. Mom's therapy work is visible. She's different. Quieter, more reflective, less performative. Dad's weekly sessions continue. Brandon's starting his own work. I'm letting myself hope. Carefully. With boundaries. But actually hoping. This is what I wanted, not the old family back, but the possibility of something new. Something real. Next phase: building. Still carefully. Still watching. But building. I closed the journal. Looked at my calendar. June 15th circled in red. Brandon's birthday. The invitation had come last week. Small dinner at parents' apartment, just the 4 of us. I'd said yes. Not because I had to. Because I wanted to. That was new. Wanting to be with my family instead of obligated to be with them. At midnight, I turned off the lights. Tomorrow was Tuesday: regular coffee with Mom. Thursday, dinner with all 3 of them. Saturday, hiking with Grace. Chosen family time. My life had rhythm now. Biological family and chosen family, both present, both valued, both held at appropriate distance. I fell asleep thinking about balance, about the difference between walls and boundaries, about how locked doors could eventually open if the people on both sides did the work. 3 months ago, I'd been terrified they'd revert the moment they got what they wanted. Tonight, I believe they might actually keep trying. Not because they were perfect, because they were consistent. And consistency over time was the only proof that mattered. Tuesday, May 27th. The cafe in Inner Sunset was nearly empty at 10 a.m., just us and an elderly man reading the Chronicle in the corner. My mother arrived exactly on time, no designer bag, just a canvas tote with her therapy journal visible inside. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, settling into the chair across from mine. Of course, we ordered green tea for her, coffee for me, and sat in silence for a moment. Not uncomfortable silence, just the kind that happens when you're learning how to be with someone. "I've been nervous about this all week," she finally said. "Why?" "Because it's just us. No buffer, no one else to redirect conversation to if it gets hard." "I'm nervous too." She looked up surprised. "You are every time. I'm still learning to trust this." The tea arrived. She wrapped both hands around the cup, looked at me directly. "My therapist says I need to hear from you, not what I think you felt. What you actually felt, through everything." She pulled out a small notebook. "I brought this to take notes, if that's okay." I'd never seen her take notes on anything I said. "You want to write it down? I don't want to forget or misremember. I want to get this right." I pulled out my own phone, the list I'd prepared months ago. I made a list too. "Things I need you to hear. I'm ready." First thing, the comments about my weight, my whole life. "Are you sure you want a second helping? That dress would look better if you lost 5 pounds. From age 12 on, my mother's face went pale. I said those things constantly. She started writing, handshaking. "I don't remember. But I believe you. That's abuse, Victoria. I'm so sorry." We went through the list, each item harder than the last. The erasure of my contributions, gifts I gave that she claimed as from everyone. The invisibility, being in a room while she looked through me, talking about Brandon's achievements, never asking about mine. You made me feel invisible for years. Not just the Christmas exclusion. Every family event. My mother was crying now, writing through tears. "I was threatened by you. By your own daughter. You succeeded without needing me. That terrified me. So I pretended you weren't there. Then I asked the question I'd been afraid to ask. Did you even like me as a person?" My mother sobbed. "I don't know." The honesty cut deeper than a lie would have. "I loved you because you're my daughter. But like you..." She looked up, mascara running. "I don't think I let myself know you enough to like or dislike you. I kept you at distance. Made you a function, not a person. That's the worst thing I've done." We both sat crying in the cafe. The elderly man glanced over, concerned, but didn't interrupt. "I needed a mother," I said. "Not a boss or judge. A mother, I know, and I wasn't that." She wiped her eyes. "Can I be now? I don't know. But you're trying. That's something." "Victoria, can I ask you something? Not therapy homework. Just curiosity." "What? Who are you? Really? Tell me something about yourself I don't know." When had she ever asked this? "I like hiking. Early morning before crowds." I didn't know that. "I like science fiction novels, Ursula Le Guin especially." I didn't know that either. "I want kids someday. Maybe adopt." Her eyes widened. "You do. Why adopt?" "Because I want to give a kid what I didn't have. A parent who sees them." She absorbed this. "Then my turn. You don't know this about me. I always wanted to be a painter." "What, in Taiwan before we immigrated?" "I painted. Watercolors. Landscapes. I was good at it." "What happened? Life. Survival. Image." I put it away. She showed me her phone, a photo of a watercolor, amateur but soulful. Golden Gate Bridge in soft colors. I started again. "Recently." "Mom, this is beautiful. It's rusty. But I'm practicing. Finding the part of me I buried." We stayed for 2 hours. The longest we'd ever talked one-on-one. When we finally left, hugging on the sidewalk, she held me tight. "Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for doing the work." 2 weeks passed in the new rhythm. Tuesday coffees continued. I visited their apartment twice more, once for dinner, once just to help my father troubleshoot his new laptop. Normal things. Small things. Things that felt like building. June 15th arrived. Brandon's birthday. I drove to the Sunset at 5:45 p.m. with a cheesecake I'd made from scratch, his favorite lemon with raspberry. Brandon opened the door, grinned. "You actually made it, wouldn't miss it." The apartment was decorated simply. Paper banner reading Happy 36th Brandon in my mother's handwriting. Dollar store balloons. The table set with mismatched plates and paper napkins. Pizza boxes stacked on the counter. My father at the stove making pot stickers. "These better be good," Brandon called to him. "You've been practicing." "They're perfect," my father called back. "Mostly perfect. Some are burnt." My mother was arranging flowers, grocery store carnations in a mason jar, not the crystal vases from the Penthouse. She saw me, smiled. "Victoria." Come in, come in." The apartment smelled like garlic and birthday cake. Music played from a phone speaker. 90 seconds hits Brandon's teenage years. My father singing off-key to "I Want It That Way." This was family, not the performance, the real thing. "Gift time before dinner," Brandon announced. My father handed him a wrapped package. Book, The Road Less Traveled. About emotional growth, my father said. "Helped me in therapy. Thought it might help you." Brandon looked touched. "Thanks, Dad." My mother's gift-framed photo of Brandon and me as kids at Ocean Beach, maybe 7 and 9 years old, building sandcastles. "Found this in storage," she said. "Thought you'd like it." Brandon stared at it. I remember this day. Before everything got complicated, I handed him my envelope. Inside certificate I'd made on my computer. Good for 1 camping trip, siblings only. "Wait, you're serious?" I thought we could go. Like when we were kids. "I'd love that." His voice cracked. "Really, July. Before it gets too hot. Deal." We ate pizza on mismatched plates, pot stickers that were burnt on one side but tasted like effort salad my mother had actually made herself. The conversation flowed: work stories, neighborhood gossip, Grace's research at UCSF. "So Grace is staying in the Bay Area?" Brandon asked. "Yeah, she loves her lab." "My mother, she's such a smart girl. You're lucky to have her as a cousin. She's been amazing through everything." After dinner, my father raised his glass of sparkling cider. To Brandon, 36 years ago you made us parents. We weren't always good at it, but you made us try to be better. Brandon, that's generous, Dad. I'm learning to give credit where it's due, my mother added. To family, broken but rebuilding. We clinked glasses. Then Brandon pulled out Scrabble, like old times. Fair warning, I'm competitive now. Since when I said, "You always let me win." Brandon surprised, "You knew." "Of course, you were terrible at hiding it. I wanted you to feel good." "That's actually really sweet." We played laughing as my father spelled fart for 18 points, my mother challenging my use of quixotic and losing. Brandon won but didn't gloat. Competition without cruelty. Family without toxicity. At 8:15, my mother said to me, "You should come to church with us Sunday." Old pattern. Telling, not asking. I stiffened. "Mom." She caught herself. "Sorry. I meant, would you like to come? I appreciate the invite. But no thank you." "Okay, just thought I'd ask." Recovery quick. Boundary honored. Progress wasn't perfection. At 8:45, Brandon stood. "Before cake, I want to say something." We all went quiet. This is the best birthday I've had in years. Not because of gifts or food, because it's real. He looked at me. "Tori, you showed us that performance isn't love. That boundaries aren't rejection. You taught us how to be actual family." His voice broke. "Thank you for not giving up on us." "I didn't teach you," I said. "You learned it yourselves. I just stopped enabling the dysfunction." "Brandon, we did it because we couldn't lose you. You were always the best of us." My father, he's right. You are. We ate cake, my lemon raspberry cheesecake with 36 candles crowded on top. Sang off key. Brandon made a wish, blew them out. What'd you wish for, my mother asked. Can't tell or it won't come true. Later he whispered to me, I wished for this. For us. To keep healing. At 10:00 p.m. I helped clean up. My mother shooed me away. Go home. You've given enough tonight. Hugs at the door. Brandon long and tight. Parents warm and genuine. Walking to my car, I looked back. They were in the window waving. I waved back. In my car, I sat for a moment before starting the engine. Called Grace on speaker. How was it? Perfect. Imperfectly perfect. They're really different. They really are. We're all different. That night I journaled Brandon's birthday. First celebration together since Christmas disaster. It was easy, natural, real. Mom slipped once, told me to come to church instead of asking. Caught herself immediately. That's progress. Dad's pot stickers were burnt, but he laughed at himself. Mom decorated with dollar store supplies. Brandon cried during his speech. All of it genuine. I'm letting myself believe this is real, not temporary performance. Actual change. 3 months of consistency, that's the proof. The next 2 weeks brought a test I hadn't anticipated. My parents called on a Tuesday afternoon, father's voice strained. Victoria, we have a problem. What's wrong? Your mother and I had a fight. About you. She invited you to our anniversary dinner in August without discussing it with me first. Your anniversary 40th. She wants a family celebration. I said it's too soon for a big milestone event. We argued. Badly. He explained my mother wanted all of us together, me, Brandon, Linda, Grace. Proof we'd healed. My father thought it was too much pressure, too performative. She accused me of holding grudges. I accused her of performing progress. We said hurtful things. What do you need from me? Long pause. Maybe nothing. I'm calling because I want to be honest with you. This is hard. We slip sometimes. I know, Dad. That's normal. I'm scared we'll fall back into old patterns. I'll go silent, she'll get controlling. We'll hurt you again. The vulnerability in his voice was new. Dad, the fact that you're calling to talk about it, that's progress. That's new. We talked for 20 minutes. By the end, I'd suggested 2 dinners, one quiet for just them on their actual anniversary, one family celebration the following weekend. That way you both get what you need. You think she'd accept that? Let me talk to her. That evening my mother called. Your father told you about our fight. He did. He probably made me sound unreasonable. No, Mom. He made himself sound scared. Scared of failing you again. Of hurting me again. Silence. Oh. I explained the 2-dinner idea. She resisted at first. That feels like failure, but eventually agreed. It's not failure, I said. It's honoring where everyone is. You get celebration. Dad gets intimacy. Nobody's wrong. 2 days later, group text from my mother. Dad and I talked. We're doing 2 dinners. August 3rd, just us? August 10th, family celebration? Both feel right. Brandon, love this. Count me in for the 10th. Me proud of you both for working it out. Father, thanks for the wisdom, daughter. In my next therapy session, Dr. Patel asked, they had a fight and called you. How do you feel about that? Proud? Is that weird? Not at all. Why proud? They didn't hide it. They were honest about struggling. They worked through it without asking me to fix it. That's intimacy, Dr. Patel said. Real intimacy. Showing the messy parts. And you gave them a perspective without taking responsibility for their relationship. That's healthy support, not enmeshment. By the end of June, summer had settled into San Francisco fog, burning off by noon, the city golden and warm. I met Grace for brunch at our favorite spot in the Mission. So she said over mimosas, how's the family experiment going? Better than expected. They had a fight about me, work through it themselves. That felt huge. You're believing it now that it's real. Starting to. It's been consistent for 4 months. That's more than performance. That's pattern change. Grace raised her glass. To your bravery. For demanding better and for recognizing it when they delivered. We clinked glasses. I felt something unfamiliar. Not quite happiness. But close. Hope maybe. Earned hope. That evening, I updated my journal one last time on the topic of family healing 4 months since the meeting. They've been consistent. Therapy continuing for all 3. Financial independence maintained. Boundaries mostly honored. Real conversations happening. They had a fight and handled it like adults. That's the biggest proof. I'm not waiting for disaster anymore. I'm watching for growth and finding it. Next, their anniversary celebrations. First major milestones together. We'll see if holiday pressure triggers old patterns or if the new patterns hold. For now, I'm hopeful. Carefully guardedly, but genuinely hopeful. This is what I wanted. Not the old family back. Something new. Something real. I closed the journal, looked at my calendar. August 10th, circled parents' anniversary dinner family. 4 months ago, I wouldn't have believed I'd be looking forward to it. Tonight I was. That was progress measured not in data points, but in feeling. And feeling I was learning was the truest measure of healing. September 28th evening before the festival. I sat in Dr. Patel's office for what she called a preparation session, anticipating tomorrow's dinner, the first family holiday since Christmas. "How are you feeling?" she asked. Nervous, excited, terrified. All valid. What specifically worries you that holidays trigger old patterns? Christmas is when everything collapsed. What if stress brings back the dysfunction? Dr. Patel leaned forward. Holidays are high pressure. Families often revert under stress. But Victoria, you're not the same person who walked into Christmas blind. You have tools now. Boundaries. Voice. If patterns resurface, what will you do? Name it. In the moment. Not wait and stew. Exactly. And your exit strategy, Marcus is on call. One text and he'll call with an emergency. Good. Knowing you can leave makes it easier to stay. What's your goal for tomorrow? Just be present. See how it goes. No fixing, no managing, just participating. That's wise. You're a guest now, not the architect. After therapy, I stopped at an Asian market. Bought ingredients for Guihuargao osmanthus cake, my grandmother's recipe. My mother had taught me years ago, one of the few purely good memories. Making it felt like honoring the past while building towards something different. At home, I baked until midnight. The apartment filled with the sweet floral scent. The cake came out golden perfect. I photographed it, sent the picture to my mother. Her reply came immediately. "Is that Naina's recipe?" "Yes. Thought I'd bring it tomorrow. She would be proud." I'm proud. I fell asleep thinking about exit strategies and boundaries, and the weight of first holidays after rupture. September 29th, 5:00 p.m. Grace and I arrived together at my parents' apartment, strength in numbers. I carried the cake carefully wrapped. Brandon opened the door. "The sisters are here." He pulled us both into a hug. Grace laughed she'd become honorary family. The apartment smelled like home cooking. Red braised pork, stir-fried vegetables, rice steaming. My mother emerged from the kitchen, apron on, hair tied back simply. Victoria Grace. She wiped her hands, came to hug us. "What did you bring?" I unveiled the cake. "Naina's osmanthus cake." My mother's eyes filled. "You remembered the recipe. You taught me well. I haven't made this in 20 years. She touched the cake gently like it was precious. Inside, Aunt Linda was hanging paper lanterns with my father. "Tori, come help with this one." We decorated together. Simple preparations, nothing fancy. My father hummed old Taiwanese songs while setting the table. The atmosphere felt light, comfortable. At 5:30, the doorbell rang. My mother answered. Uncle Thomas and his wife entered. Uncle Thomas, who'd stopped speaking to my father after Christmas. Thomas. My father's voice was careful. You came. Uncle Thomas approached, bowed slightly. Brother. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival. They embraced awkwardly but sincerely. Uncle Thomas turned to me. Victoria, thank you for your email. I'm glad you're here. More relatives arrived, 2 cousins from my generation, some who'd supported me, some who hadn't. Cousin Jenny pulled me aside to the balcony. Tori, can we talk? I need to apologize. I called you extreme back in December. I didn't understand what you were dealing with. Watching your parents change these past months, I get it now. Thank you for saying that. Are we okay? We're okay. At 6:00 p.m., my mother brought out paper lanterns, traditional activity where everyone writes wishes. From my childhood in Taiwan, she explained. We write wishes, then share them. Everyone wrote privately. I watched my father concentrating, my mother's careful characters, Brandon folding his paper with focus. My turn. I wrote continued courage to choose myself, continued grace to forgive others. We placed them in a bowl. Then my father volunteered to read first. I wish to be the father my children deserve. My mother, I wish to know my daughter as a friend, not just as a role. Brandon, I wish to be a brother who shows up. Linda, I wish this family continues to choose healing. Grace, I wish for Tori to know how loved she is. My turn, I wish for courage and grace. Uncle Thomas last, I wish for humility. Mine especially. Dinner was served buffet style, everyone filling plates, finding seats where they could. The table too small for 10 people, so some sat, some stood. Not elegant, but warm. My father said grace unusual for him. We're grateful for food, more grateful for second chances. May we deserve the forgiveness we've received. Senbei, everyone responded. The meal flowed easily. Conversations overlapping, laughter genuine. My mother's pork was tender. My father's pot stickers only slightly burnt. He was improving. Brandon had made fried rice that was surprisingly good. My osmanthus cake waited for dessert. I sat there, surrounded by family, and the contrast hit me. Last Christmas, empty inbox locked out 88 missed calls, public disaster. Tonight welcomed, included participating. Tears came without warning. Grace noticed, squeezed my hand under the table. My mother saw from across the room. Victoria, are you all right? Everyone quieted, concerned. I'm fine, just thinking about last Christmas. How different this is. Heavy silence. Everyone remembered. I'm grateful you gave us this chance, my mother said, quietly. We don't take it for granted. My father added, every meal with you is a gift. Uncle Thomas spoke up. What happened last Christmas? I heard pieces, but not the full story. I took a breath. Decided honesty mattered more than comfort. They excluded me from Christmas. Email saying I wasn't welcome. While I was paying for everything at the Penthouse, $9,450 monthly for 6 years. So on Christmas Eve I changed every lock. 40 guests couldn't get in. The party collapsed. Gasps from those who didn't know the details. It was the worst night of my life, my mother said. And the most important, we needed to face consequences. My father nodded. She taught us what we'd taken for granted. Without that, we wouldn't have changed. Brandon, she saved our family by refusing to save us. Uncle Thomas was quiet then. Sometimes love looks like a locked door. You did what had to be done. The conversation continued deeper now. I told the full story, the financial exploitation, the recording. Grace had captured the decision to withdraw support. My mother acknowledged her manipulation. My father admitted his silence was complicity. At 8:00 p.m., my mother suggested, let's watch the moon. From the roof. The building had rooftop access. We carried blankets, mooncakes, thermoses of tea up the stairs. The September evening was cool, fog rolling in from the ocean. Above it, the full moon hung bright. We spread blankets settled in. Grace distributed mooncakes, lotus seed, red bean, mixed nuts. My father poured tea into small cups, passing them around. "This is nice," Brandon said. "Peaceful." My mother's simple pleasures. Linda told stories from Taiwan, mid-autumn traditions from her childhood. Uncle Thomas shared memories of his own parents, how they'd celebrate. The conversation flowed easy and natural. My father told the story of their first mid-autumn in America. "We had nothing. Tiny apartment, no mooncakes. Your mother cried missing home. We stood on the fire escape looking at the moon. I promised someday we'd have big celebrations. You kept that promise," I said, "but lost what mattered." "The fire escape was better," my mother said. "We were together then, really together." My mother told me something I'd never known. "You were born on Mid-Autumn Festival. Full moon night. You came early." Her voice soft with memory. "I held you under the moon. Promised to love you well. I didn't know that. I broke that promise. I'm sorry. You're keeping it now." We lay on our backs looking at the moon. Someone started humming Yulium. Dapya with a sin moon represents my heart. Others joined singing softly. I didn't know all the words in Mandarin but hummed along. My mother taught me phrases between verses. At 9:00 p.m., still on the rooftop, my mother turned to me. "Can I tell you something?" "Of course. I light incense for your grandmother every week now. Tell her about you. About us. What do you tell her? That I'm trying to be the daughter she raised, and the mother I should have been. She'd be proud of you." We bowed to the moon together, traditional gesture, making silent wishes. I wished, let this not be performance, let this be real. By 10:00 p.m. we descended from the roof, everyone tired, content. Hugs at the door, warm and lingering. My mother to me next week. Coffee Tuesday as always. I'm grateful for our Tuesdays. Uncle Thomas pulled me aside in the hallway. "What you did at Christmas that took guts. I called it disrespectful. I was wrong. You respected yourself enough to say no. That taught all of us something." Driving home with Grace, I felt lighter than I'd felt in months. "How do you feel?" Grace asked. "Good. Really good. No anxiety, no waiting for disaster. Just present. That's what healing looks like." At home, I texted my mother, "Thank you for tonight." It meant a lot. Her reply, "Thank you. For being there. For everything. You were born on Mid-Autumn Festival. Tonight felt like celebrating that. Celebrating you." I journaled before bed, first holiday since Christmas disaster. Not just survived, enjoyed. Contrasts stark, last December, locked out alone, breaking them. Tonight welcomed, included breaking bread. They're different. I'm different. We're building something new. Uncle Thomas apologized. Extended family healing. Mom revealed I was born on this day, never knew that. She's sharing history I didn't have access to. 9 months from lockout to this. If someone had told me in December this was possible, I wouldn't have believed them. But here we are. Imperfect. Healing. Real. That night I slept without waking. No anxiety dreams. Just deep, peaceful sleep. The first holiday had passed without disaster. Without regression. With presence, authenticity, and the beginning of genuine tradition. Not the family I'd had. The family we were becoming. And that was enough. December 24th, 6:30 a.m. I woke to pale winter light, phone silent on the nightstand. 1 year ago today, I'd changed every lock on a penthouse, frozen every account set in motion, a collapse that would reshape everything. Today my calendar showed Christmas Eve dinner, parents apt, 6 p.m. Not obligated, invited. I made coffee, stood at my window. The city was quiet, fog thick, muffling sound. I opened my laptop, pulled up last year's journal entry from this exact date. They're locked out. Party is collapsing. I did this. Am I the villain? Or am I finally choosing myself? Tomorrow is Christmas. I'll be alone. That's terrifying and freeing. I don't know if this was right. I just know I couldn't keep being invisible. Today's reality: family dinners, weekly coffees, genuine relationships. The contrast made my chest tight. At 9:00 a.m. my phone rang. Dr. Patel, our scheduled check-in. 1 year exactly. How are you, Surreal? This time last year I was destroying everything. Today I'm planning to celebrate with them. What's different? I have a family that sees me. A mother who knows me. A father who admires me. A brother who shows up. Chosen family who celebrate me. Boundaries people respect. And myself back. That last one is most important. You didn't just get family back, you got you back. After we hung up, I baked hondoton red bean soup, traditional dessert. My mother had requested it, my grandmother's recipe. The act of making it felt like honoring lineage while choosing my own path. At noon, my mother texted, "Just checking you're still coming tonight." Mom, I confirmed 3 times. I know. Last year, I didn't hear from you for weeks. I'm still nervous you'll disappear. I'm not disappearing. I'll be there. Promise, promise. The vulnerability in her words struck me. Last year, silent treatment and locked doors. This year, fear of losing me. The roles had reversed completely. At 5:30 p.m., I dressed in a green sweater and dark jeans. Casual but festive. Loaded the red bean soup into my car with wrapped gifts, small, thoughtful things. Watercolor set for my mother's painting. Book on emotional intelligence for my father. Camping gear for future trips with Brandon. I drove toward the sunset past Russian Hill. The Penthouse building rose in the distance, 30 stories of glass and steel. 1 year ago, I'd stood inside it with a locksmith removing their access. Now, new owners live there, people who'd never know its history. I felt nothing looking at it. No attachment, no grief. That chapter was closed. At 5:55 p.m., I parked outside their building. Climbed the familiar stairs. Knocked on 3B. Brandon opened the door. She's here. He pulled me into a hug that lifted me slightly. Merry Christmas Eve, sis. Merry Christmas Eve. The apartment smelled like ginger and star anise winter spices. A small tree stood in the corner, maybe 4 feet tall, decorated with handmade ornaments and popcorn strings. My father's crooked angel on top. We made decorations ourselves, my father said proudly, emerging from the kitchen. The angel's not straight, but we love him. My mother appeared, wiping her hands on an apron. Victoria, she hugged me long and tight. You came. Of course I came. Grace and Marcus were already there, chosen family mixing with biological. Aunt Linda, too. The people who'd stood by me. We cooked together, 7 people in a tiny kitchen, somehow making it work. Grace chopping vegetables, Marcus setting the table, Linda making dumplings with my mother. Brandon and my father managing the roasted chicken. Me stirring the red bean soup on the stove. Just like old times, Linda said. Better than old times, my mother corrected. Old times had caterers. This has us. We ate crowded around the small table, Brandon on a stool, insisting he was comfortable. Food passed family style, reaching across one another, laughter when someone dropped a chopstick. My father gave a blessing. 1 year ago, we lost our way. Lost each other, lost ourselves. Victoria's courage brought us back. Not to where we were. Somewhere better. Thank you, daughter. He raised his glass. 2 second chances and new beginnings. Tenbei, we all said. The conversation flowed, Marcus's funny legal stories, Grace's research breakthroughs, Linda's retirement travel plans, Brandon's work promotion and therapy progress. 3 of us in therapy now, my mother said. Family trend. It's working, my father added. After dinner we played a game. Brandon suggested, remember when? Grace started, remember when Tori changed all the locks, nervous laughter. Remember when 40 guests stood outside a locked penthouse, I added. More laughter easier now. My mother remember when I thought status mattered more than people. I don't miss that woman. My father remember when I thought providing money was the same as providing love. I don't miss that man. Brandon remember when I was jealous instead of proud. Wasted so many years. He looked at me. I'm proud of you now, for everything. You've taught me too. About forgiveness, about showing up. Gift exchange happened at 8:00 p.m. Secret Santa style $25 limit. My mother opened my watercolor set, tears streaming. My father received his book with genuine interest. Brandon got camping gear from me, laboratory equipment from Grace for his weekend hobby. My mother gave me a framed photo me at age 5, her holding me, both laughing. Found this in old boxes. Look how happy we were. I want to get back to that. Not exactly, but the feeling. I hugged the frame. We're getting there. Dessert was my red bean soup served warm in small bowls. Nina's recipe, my mother announced. Victoria made it. Everyone tasted, murmured appreciation. My father tastes exactly like I remember. Your grandmother would be proud of the soup, of you, everything you've become. At 9:00 p.m., someone started singing Silent Night softly. Others joined English and Mandarin mixing. Marcus hummed, not knowing words. Grace harmonized. A moment suspended in imperfection, made perfect by presence. As we cleaned up, my mother pulled me aside to the small balcony. City lights sparkled below, cold air sharp. I need to tell you something. Okay. This time last year, after everything, we were in a hotel room. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking I've lost my daughter. Not because she left. Because I pushed her away. I promised myself, if I ever got another chance, I'd do it right. She looked at me directly. Thank you for giving me that chance. Thank you for taking it. For doing the actual work. We stood in silence, breath visible in cold air. Then she hugged me and I let myself be held. At 1:00 p.m., everyone prepared to leave. Hugs at the door, Brandon long parents warm, Grace and Marcus and Linda, each with their own affection. Walking to my car, I looked back. They stood in the window waving. I waved back. At home, I made tea, sat at my window. Pulled out my journal for the final entry of this chapter. 1 year ago today, I changed locks. Froze accounts, chose myself. Tonight I had Christmas Eve dinner with family who sees me, loves me, values me. Both were acts of love. One looked like rejection, one looks like reconciliation, but both were about the same thing, refusing to be invisible. This year I learned boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to healthier connection. Family can change if everyone does the work. I am worth celebrating, not just supporting others. Healing isn't linear, perfect, or complete. It's ongoing, messy, and real. Most importantly, choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. Next year, continue therapy, camping trip with Brandon, weekly coffees. With mom, maybe date someone. It's time, keep building chosen family. But mostly keep being brave enough to be seen. At 1:00 p.m., my mother texted, "Thank you for tonight. It meant everything." I replied, "Thank you for making space for me." Really making space. I looked at my calendar. Tomorrow was Christmas. Last year alone. This year brunch with Grace and Marcus. Evening checking in with parents by phone. Normal things. Family things. But chosen, not obligated. The difference was everything. At midnight, Christmas Day arrived. I thought about locked doors and 88 missed calls and public disasters, about therapy and spreadsheets and documentation folders, about osmanthus cake and crooked angels and red bean soup, about how sometimes you have to destroy something completely before you can rebuild it right. I fell asleep thinking about keys, the penthouse keys I'd returned, months ago, symbolic of giving up control, but also the keys to my own apartment, my own life, my own boundaries. Those keys I'd keep forever. If you've stayed with me through this story, thank you. Maybe you've been where I was invisible in your own family, valued for what you provide but not who you are. Maybe you're there now wondering if you have the courage to set boundaries. Or maybe you're on the other side trying to heal from being the person who hurt someone you love. Wherever you are, I want you to know change is possible. But it requires courage from everyone. Someone brave enough to say this isn't working. And people brave enough to hear it and actually change. I'd love to hear your story. Have you ever had to choose yourself over family obligation? Have you been the person who needed to hear hard truths and did the work to change? Share your experience. Let's build community around healing, not just trauma. And if this story resonated with you, there are more voices here like ours. People who chose themselves, people who rebuilt, people who learned that love and boundaries can coexist. We're not alone in this. None of us are. Thank you for witnessing my journey, for holding space for the hard, messy, beautiful work of healing. Here's to locked doors that open new paths, and to families brave enough to walk through them.